What's going on, everybody? Welcome, Goglings. Welcome, Gogletites, Gog peoples. Welcome, everyone, to episode 259 of Pen and Pixels. This is the show that focuses on story and narrative in games. I am your host, Arvin Elleron, and it is my great pleasure to welcome everybody today to Storm King's Thunder. That's right, we have returned. We have entered the world of D&D and all those sorts of things beyond, and it's going to start two, not one, but two consecutive weeks of this happening, and I'm very excited for it, and I hope you folks are as well. Before we go any further, just a couple of quick reminders. Thank you very much, Chips First, for the follow. If you haven't already done so, please follow us here on GOG.com. Please also, if you haven't done so, consider subscribing to us here, because that supports us as streamers, and it also allows you to get awesome custom sub badges and emotes and things like that. And please consider clicking through to our individual channels and Patreons and things like that also, because that is always a big deal, and we really appreciate it. Now, with that said, I'm going to fire up this. Hello, everyone. Good to see you all. Welcome. This is actually the first time that I'm streaming on here with my new camera, so I hope that the GOG folks like what we've done with the place, as it were. Not this place. I am moving from this place with my family in a couple of months, but what you like with the camera, I hope that you appreciate hopefully that this will look a little nicer for you. And we are ready to go with some amazing, awesome D&D. Before I get there, though, I do want to remind everybody that I'm going to be on with you until, wait for it. We're going to be on with you folks until, not next game. That's completely not the command. That's my command. Never mind my head. It should be that. And there we go. Pantsasaran, who's going to be here in 2.5 hours with more of Mafia 2. And while I'm on the subject, I do want to say thank you to Pantsasaran for running an amazing game showdown. It was my great pleasure to take down Frassoir, and then my great pleasure to be crushed by Kilgore Trout. That's the way these things went. No, it was actually it was both of those were close contests, and they could have gone either way in both cases. But I wanted to thank everybody here for making an amazing difference during the GOG stream fundraiser that we had over the weekend to honor Dealad, raising $8,700. As someone who's run a number of charity events myself on stream, being able to raise $8,700 with this little amount of time to arrange it all. They only came up with this idea, and being able to put it together and then raise that kind of money is incredible. So thank you. It is a testament to the strength of this community, and it's a testament to, rather than always looking at the worst of us, which I think is what we tend to do in society, I think it's also helpful to look at the best of us. And I think there are more best of us than worst of us, if you know what I mean. So I want to thank everyone, myself, just for who did this, and thanks to the incredible mods and the incredible team that did such great work on this. In particular, Craigery, who set this all up and who I promised I wouldn't embarrass too much on the channel, did an amazing job in arranging this. And Pyron Jade, my stream team coordinator, who is an amazing person for making this possible. And thank you to GOG.com as well for allowing the Twitch channel to be used for this over the course of the weekend. They didn't have to do that, and it was really good of them to do that, and I'm proud to be able to be associated with this crew that can do stuff like this. So thank you to all of them for doing this amazing stuff. It was great. But having said that, the time has come for some D&D, and I do have one other announcement, but before that, I'm going to bring all of them in before that other announcement happens. So I have unmuted myself, I have unmuted them, and I have now headed over to reveal. That's right. Before you is a devil's head. What is that? Oh, that's a player's notebook. Okay. Before you is actually the crew. We are back with the amazing crew, and I'm going to allow them to introduce themselves in a second, and then we're going to show our little intro video here. But I do want to mention first that to the amazing crew that below us, as I've previously mentioned, we have Pyron Jade here, who was the one who made it possible for us to set up this whole big fundraising event. So I wanted to thank Pyron Jade for that. And I did want to mention that if you liked what you see today, if you do like what you see today, and you're like, I wish I could see more of these people playing role-playing games every week, I've got you covered, because next week on this channel, we will be debuting Talisman Adventures, a new role-playing game made by Pegasus Spiele, which owns the license for the Talisman games in tabletop and in board game form. And it is going to be an event. We will be promoting it. There will be things happening. We're not at liberty to tell you all the things that are happening, but there will be things happening. And most importantly, you will see this lovely crew in this column that will be part of the mix in Talisman Adventures. we'll actually be making 2 characters on stream, so you can actually see characters being made. The other 2 will be made off stream, and then we're going to begin a little mini campaign of Talisman Adventures. So if any of you like Talisman, and if you don't, get out. I'm just kidding. But if any of you like Talisman, or if you like role-playing games, you will want to be here for this. I'm very excited about it. It's a cool system. There's a lot of interesting things to it, and if you know anything about Talisman at all, it means you can enjoy it that much more, because there's all this stuff that is referenced to the board game that gets said within it. You don't have to play the board game to love the game, but I just think it's cool that you know extra stuff that comes out as a result of it. So it's just all the things. With that said, Talisman kill the priest. Yeah, exactly. Or the prophetess, one way or the other. Anyway, but before we show the video, I want to let these folks introduce themselves. I will again publicly thank Pyron Jade, who is awesome in every way. And Pyron, I think, had so much fun with this charity thing that maybe you might see more charity things in the future. It's possible. Maybe there may be secrets that Pyron and I are involved with in terms of charity functions in the future. Who knows? For right now, I will simply say, Pyron, thank you so much for helping organize all of that. It was great for someone from the outside just participating slightly to see it happen. You did a great job. Thank you. And how are you? And Happy New Year. And who are you playing?
I'm doing okay, I would say, which is the most that people can currently say in all the things that are going on in this world. And I'm playing Greta Goldenfire, Dwarven Cleric of Foltest. May his light shine on your way. And we're currently on the beach, which is nice. Why don't we stay on the beach? I mean, the beach is a good place to be. Apart from that, yes, we just had a weekend of a very special and for the stream team very personal charity event where we were celebrating the lad and her favorite games while collecting money for a charity of her choice, which was the Quebec Breast Cancer Center. And it was an amazing event. So many people coming together, the community coming together. And I'm still slightly exhausted and sad and happy and thankful and grateful and like a whole bundle of feelings. So yeah, that's it for me.
That's great stuff. Thank you, Pyron. And yeah, I can co-sign on all of that. It was even watching it from a distance, as I say. And, you know, I lost my mother to breast cancer. That's the point of ARVCon that we do every year. And I was very moved to see people come together like that quickly. And I know some of the people who donated funds, who of course will remain anonymous by their decision, but I know who they are. And the generosity is really important. So hold on to that, people. When you have a tendency to feel like everything is descending into darkness, there's a lot of light, but you need to face the light and not just the darkness. And so it was nice to see some of that being preceded today. Right below Pyron, of course, is the awesome and amazing Darksaber 2K, who is ready to go. And what is the shirt, by the way? I didn't even see. What is the
Final Fantasy VII title screen?
Yes, the best. Again, Final Fantasy VII remake is so good. So good. Anyway, that's awesome. But I know you're a little tired, Saber, but you're with us. You're here. How's life in the universe? Happy New Year. And who are you playing today?
Happy New Year, and Happy New Year to everyone. I don't think I actually said it since we got in the call. So Happy New Year, everyone. It's good to see you all. And I hope you all had a good one. I just chilled on my channel, streamed, and got drunk. We had a good chill time. It was a good evening. We had fun. I enjoyed it. And yeah, it's been a long week. It's probably going to be a longer week because I'm not even halfway through it yet. But that doesn't matter right now. And I'm Crab Commander Cell Sigmauer.
That's right. You have this, right, exactly. So you should be called like Sub Commander, because that's both literally true and true that you're technically like below, Zephyros, who's currently commanding the tower. So it works all the way around. But that's awesome. Good. Always a pleasure to have you with us, Saber. Thank you again for doing Mubat, etc. And moving on right on down the line, we have...
God, yes, we're not on the beach anymore. I want to be on the beach.
No, you're in a flying tower, though. I mean, there's worse places to be. You could be, for example, at the bottom of the ocean under 1,000,000 feet, facing down an angry giant. That could happen too. Like...
That's suspiciously suspicious.
It sounds like a prediction. Moving right along, it's not a prediction at all. I don't know what you mean. What are you all talking about? What? Moving right along. Also featuring a person with a new camera and a new place and a new environment. And we're very glad actually, that this gentleman is here and with us. Mike, it's good to see you. How are you doing? Happy New Year. And how's life in the universe, and who are you playing?
Well, yeah, Happy New Year, happy festive period to everyone, regardless of what you celebrate or how you spent it. I think it's a bit of a weird one for everyone this year, to fit in theme with the rest of 2020. I'm doing okay. Many people already know, because they follow me on social media, specifically Twitter, that I've recently recovered from having COVID-19. And it's a real kick in the stomach. I don't consider myself to be an unhealthy person. I'm reasonably healthy. And it took me out for about 5 weeks. No emergency medical treatment needed, so I'm okay with that. But yeah, as I said just before the stream, the fatigue is real. I'm now back at work, which is good. But before doing this, I had to have like a 3-hour nap just to give myself the energy to do something. So it's making things a bit more difficult, but not impossible. But yeah, it's really nice to be back into what I'd consider to be the normal flow of things, and it's just nice to be surrounded by positive people, to be honest with you. Like, you're all bloody lovely, so everyone in the stream, everyone in chat, everyone's just really nice. So it's nice to be back in the thick of it, to be honest with you. Yeah, I'm playing Urash, the half-orc barbarian and devout follower of Tempest, who, do you know what? He's having an okay time of it at the minute. He's a bit chill. He's a bit distrustful of the giant robot crab, but that's because it's not alive and yet it moves and he doesn't quite understand it. It's a little bit like Mr. T and flying. Like, he doesn't like it at all. So at one point, you are probably, if he has to be transported in that, he's probably going to have to get knocked out. But we'll see how it goes.
We'll see how that proceeds. Also, I would be remiss if I did not also thank Mike, because Mike sent me, and I'm sorry to say I can't show at the moment because it's packed in like 5 things, but Mike sent me essentially a mimic. He sent me a mimic. So I got this thing, and it's like this chest. I'm like, okay. And then I open it, and it's literally like, blah, mimic. And my wife was like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, well, that's, I mean, this is the experience of my players. They feel like they are surrounded by adventures that are like mimics at all times. And so turnabout is fair play. But no, it was very generous, and I thank you, Mike, very much. So I want to publicly thank Mike for doing that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I just wanted to send you something. I'm big on making people aware of how much I appreciate them. So you've done a lot for me personally, professionally, spiritually, mentally, everything. You may or may not notice it, but you have been there through certain parts of my life that have been troubling, and certain parts of my professional career that I've needed bolstering in, and that's been really helpful. And I just wanted to, I wanted to do something on brand, and purchasing something from the UK in the US and getting it delivered to the center of New York City probably isn't the easiest thing to do right now. That was like the 3rd thing I tried to send you, and the first 2 failed.
Oh no!
But I'm just like, do you know what? If the mimic arrives, it's fine, because I'm pretty much always saying it's definitely a mimic. So
it's definitely a mimic.
Yes, definitely a mimic.
It was on brand. Well, thank you, man. That's extremely kind words, and you know how much I think of you. So thanks, dude. I appreciate that. It's very kind of you.
Love you too, all.
And with the love just flowing, this is good stuff today. I got student evaluations today, and they were all really positive too. It was really nice. They were just like, hey, everything was great. I was like, okay, that's great. I'm waiting for the one person to be like, not me. I think you're an asshole and I hate you. You're a terrible but no, everyone else is great. And thank you, Mike. I appreciate it. And last but certainly not least, of course, she has not been the star of the show because her daughter is just, this taking over as star of the show all the time, which is just awesome. And that, of course, is Tasty Chai. Happy New Year as well, Chai. I hope you had a good one. How is everything? I can see everything's okay with your daughter. Like, your daughter's just kicking butt and taking names. How are you doing, and who are you playing today?
Hello. It took me a second. I was like, why is everyone saying Happy New Year? Like, that was weeks. Oh my gosh, we haven't been live since
I
then.
know.
So yeah, Happy New Year, everyone. If you haven't seen me since then. She's fine and just really, really demanding and doesn't sleep ever. So earlier, Mike was talking about how tired he was, and I'm like, bro, oh my gosh, yes. Because I get that. She's up like every 2 hours at night still, and I'm just like, I just can't. It's so hard.
Oh.
But it's okay.
Cool.
I'm not sleep deprived at all. We'll be fine. Everything's fine. So anyway, I'm playing River, who is a Silver Dragonborn sorcerer, and really excited to be in a flying tower, possibly getting drunk. I think that was the last thing I said I was gonna do, but I can't really remember. I think I wanted to get drunk and go fishing, but I don't think that's actually happening.
That's true. But let's see. Yeah, sorry, I was just making sure I marked something down. No,
That's okay.
and I seem to feel like your wanting to fish has been a common element from the last couple of sessions, so we'll need to make sure that somehow we
Okay,
make that
fishing.
happen. I mean, look, at the moment, you're in a flying tower. I'm sure that we have, 1,500, 2,000 foot fishing lines that are possibilities. Like, I don't, or they
I
could
mean,
just buzz the water. It could just come real close
yeah,
to the water.
definitely. There you go. See, that's all you need. I will also say though, BB is trying to walk and refuses to do it by herself. So if I have to get up and walk around all stumbly like because she needs me to walk with her, I'm still listening. I have the speakers on.
I totally understand. And if for some reason I ask you something and I'm like, all right, Chai, and I'm like looking away and I look back and the chair is vacant and you're wandering with the child, I apologize. I'm not trying to, call you out or anything. I'm just sort of going along as we go. Okay, so chat. Now, what we're going to do here is we know that we're getting started a little bit late, which is partially just things that happen. But we are going to play. We're not going to do this, as I said, every time. But because it's been over a month and because we only played this once and because it's so good, we decided that we would like to play the intro video that Mike had commissioned and made, that Mike made, basically. We would like to do that at least once at the beginning of the year so you can get a sense of who these characters are. I should note before, and I'm going to do that before we do our little recap here, I should note that we are definitely in the home stretch of the campaign. They are heading to where they believe, anyway, they can find the King Hecaton, the head of the giants, and figure out a way to end this mess that they've been involved with for a long period of time. So we are going to be doing that, but I did want to get a chance to sort of show this video first to give you a sense of it. So we're going to play this, and I'm going to mute them and me again, and we're going to play this and let you folks get a sense of this video. So this, again, let me find the video so I don't lose it. Hold on. Where's my video? The story so far. Yes, that's it. So we're going to play this again. Again, this is commissioned and made by Mike. It is amazing and awesome, and it will give you a sense of these four characters. We're going to do that. Then on the other side of it, we will do a very brief recap, and then we will get started with playing. So chat, bear with us. Here we go.
How can I help?
Do you mean the giant slayers? Aye, I know of them. They came through here not long ago. Let's sit somewhere a bit quieter. Here, let me take that ale off your hands. Oh, no. You go get yourself another one and I'll tell you all about them. Oh, no. They never actually called themselves the giant slayers, but that's what some of us know them as. We were in Bryn Shander when the giants attacked. A lot of us. Well, a lot of us barely made it out alive. Anyway, this group, they said that the ancient code of the giants, the Ordening, I think it was called, well, they said that it had been broken. The giants' king, King Hecaton, had vanished apparently under mysterious circumstances. Well, with no monarch to rule over them, the giants acted like most folk, either throwing tantrums like babies or plotting schemes like politicians. See, they say they were after some great evil that had poisoned some of the giants' minds and done something to this Hecaton, this Storm King. All very grand if you ask me. We had a good giggle about it that night in the tavern after they came into town. Giants fighting each other. Grand giant conspiracies. It was all very funny to us. Well, let's just say, once your town has been besieged by giants, you become a bit more open to the idea of grand conspiracies and ancient orders. We thought it best to believe that there was, in fact, some mysterious happenings around the giant folk. Tell you what though, those adventurers seem bent on sorting it out too. Well, from what I hear, the group itself seemed to change from time to time, you know? And you know what stories are like. They change a little with each telling. Some people tell them as heroes. Others, not so much. First, there was the dwarf. Reckon she was the leader. Hardy lass she was. Greta Goldenfire. Cleric of that moon god Faltus, I think she said. Very religious type. Strong, dependable, smart head on her shoulders. Always seemed to keep the rest of them in line too. Here, I saw her heal a killing wound on someone once using only the light from her hands. True God's given talent, that one. Then again, depending on who you talk to, there are those that saw a fire-hungry zealot, a fanatic. Some even muttered the word cultist under their breath when she wasn't about, wanting to see the world burn for her almighty, and with the power in her hands to topple buildings without breaking a sweat, no less. Then there was this hobbit, see? Selsig Mauer. He was one of them lovely roguish types. Always fond of a bit of a gamble if the stakes were high enough. And the occasional merchant who didn't ask too many questions. Charming lad for a halfling. But there are those who say he was some sort of master thief. The ghost of the coast. Some deadly assassin from a dark corner of the realms made from smoke and shadow. Death in his footsteps, they say. Oh, the orc? Aye, big un he was. Orash, he said his name was. Never caught his last name. Truth be told, I don't think he even knew what a last name was. Seemed a bit troubled though, that one. But you could tell he had a good heart in him. Gentle soul in. Loved a bit of food, wine and dancing he did. And we can all appreciate that in someone, right? Yeah, he had us all dancing in a tavern one night before... well, before the giants arrived. But I heard things. Rumours of him taking lives with fury and anger, all to appease his war god Tempest. With that blade of his, he would whirl into a rage and you'd see nothing but red mist for miles, cleaving anything in front of him in two with the very strength of the earth behind him and no regard for his own safety. Not something I'd ever like to see in person, let me tell you. Oh, the Dragonborn. Oh, she was lovely, that river. Proper bright eyes, full of curiosity. Don't know why, but other people seem worried about her. Not me. I talked to her for ages, I did. She seemed to have this unbreakable childlike innocence to her. Always curious, wanting to know how things worked, why they did, and if she could eat them. Very food motivated, that one. And not just regular food, mind. I mean, anything she could feasibly chew and swallow. Saw her eat a chair leg once. Whole thing, 2 bites. Maybe it's a dragon thing. Though, some say she was a ferocious mage. Energy blasting from all her claws and enough raw power in her to make Elminster himself muck his britches. I never thought nothing like that, though. Not the river I met, but some. Well, they whispered that maybe she was Tiamat, reborn after that dragon business a few years ago. And if she had half as much power as people say, well, I can almost see why they'd think such things. But I'll tell you this for free, stranger. When I met them, they were determined to help people. Good hearts they had, willing to stand by each other through thick and thicker. If you believe the stories, they'd been through near-death fights, poisonings, invasions, giants, dragons, and planes knows what else. But that didn't stop them, not like it would most people. They kept going, picking themselves up when they got knocked down. So call them heroes, villains, or whatever you want. I could tell by the look in their eyes that they were seeing this through to the bitter end. This Storm King's thunder. Where are they now? Well then, stranger. I'm sure my memory could be jogged by another ale or two. How about it?
It's great stuff. So again, that was Mike who put together the video, made the video with parts from Julie Stark as the voice actor and from Greenforge Studio doing much of the music. And yeah, it's great. Mike also did that intro video that you see at the very beginning that we usually play for these sessions, but it's just too good not to have it played several times. You know what I mean? Like I just can't, and we only played it once. So I wanted people to see it. And now you get a sense of what this was. And so, yeah, so definitely give Peripheral Media give them, you know, some attention and love. And it may or may not be the case that I may actually be speaking to Mike shortly about a little video tweak I wanted him to do for something also. It's the first he's hearing of it, but that's okay. That way he can't get out of it. That's how I roll.
I am 100% available.
No, I appreciate it, dude. I'll send you a message later. Anyway, so what we've got going on is pretty much exactly as you saw. Just watch the video. But to be more specific about it, this is, of course, the Storm King's Thunder team, and they have been involved in trying to bring the giants back to some order, basically, to figure out what has happened with the giants. And what they've discovered over the last couple of sessions is that the one that they have been seeking, King Hecaton, has in fact been kidnapped and was basically done so under, assuming that this turns out to be, the case, that was basically betrayed by someone that he thought was an advisor of his, and ended up not being so, and that it was a larger plot to disrupt the giants and the Sword Coast in exactly the way that this has happened. And so ultimately, the party has been able to track down some information. In our last session, the party spent some time speaking to a really lovely group of people known as Clars and his crew to try to gather some information about where the giant had been found, because what they discovered is that there was a ship that has been apparently plying the seas of the oceans of the trackless sea, a ship which apparently itself looks vaguely sea creature-ish, although that's all based on legend, surrounded by clouds and a constant storm. And they gathered some information from this person, Clars, and his crew, that it was out there somewhere on the water, and that if they could find it, that indeed they might be able to find what they were seeking. But the party decided that they did not actually want to use Clars and his offer of a ship to take them there. We're not big fans of Clars, in fact, and they wanted to avoid dealing with him to the extent that they could. And so they decided instead that they would call back their own friend Zephyros, not Sephiroth, but Zephyros, who is a storm giant himself, and who has a floating tower, basically, that can fly above the water and the sea. And they've come to him again. They ran into him at the very beginning of this adventure a long time ago, finally had a chance to resummon him and bring him back. And at the very end of our last session, Zephyros indeed came. They got onto the tower and headed off in search of this ship. And they don't know a whole lot about it except for the fact that it is surrounded by this storm, and that it is where apparently Hecaton is being kept. Now, Hecaton is not just a giant. He is the giant, the king of the storm giants, the head of the Ordning. And so if you are able to imprison Hecaton, that suggests that you're pretty powerful, and so the party is going to have to be ready to handle that. Fortunately, they are ready not only with their own abilities, which are considerable, but by certain things that they have discovered as of late. Different artifacts and items, including, as was previously mentioned by Darksaber, Celsig Mar's ship. It's not really just his, but he happens to really love it a lot. And that is the... Where did my notes just vanish to? The heck is the ship called? Hold on a second.
Ship is called Claudia.
Claudia, that's it. I wanted to make sure I got the name right. Claudia, the ship, which is actually an apparatus of Quailish, and it looks like this. It has got some sub abilities. It's got some attack abilities. You can see right there. And I would say that Celsig loves it and appreciates it. Maybe not as much as Fluffball, but definitely loves it a lot still. And that this sub is able to do lots of different things. Yes, Claudia, that's right, Bethesda. So hopefully that, plus their own abilities, will make it possible for them to get on to this ship. And so what the party had not yet decided was whether they were going to try to do the direct frontal assault, whether they were going to try to do a head fake, basically pretend to do an assault but do something else, whether they were going to try to attack from below the surface of the water. So all of these were options available to them as they headed off on the tower. And so as I now bring things back over to them, we're going to fire up a little bit of music here. We will fire up the soundscape. First of all, we need... Oh, I need some more than that. Let me fire up my music here. Let's go with this. Some Willow in the Light, Kevin MacLeod. And I am going to pull up an ocean track, which I thought that I had and I don't. That can't stand. While I am doing that, though, I am going to ask the party, you are now on the ship. There we go, that should work. You are now on the ship, and on the Zephyros' tower, and I wondered what the party wanted to do, so I'm going to hand things back over to the party. Party, what would you like? There we
Well,
go.
first of all, we need to catch up with Sephiroth.
Yes. So we're on the airship, aren't we?
Right. You are on the airship right now.
Sorry, not the airship. The flying tower.
Yes.
And Zephyros was doing something with something. I think he was doing something with an item or
He
apparatus.
just hauled Claudia with me and Fluffball in it up to the castle tower.
Yes.
That's right, and actually, you may still be in Claudia now that I think of it, Celsig. So,
I think he is.
as he kind of pulls you onto there, and he looks at it, and it's lowered. Of course, the ship is now lifted, but it's your ship is still dripping water a little bit, and some sand and so forth from the beach where you just were. And he says, "Oh, well, this is most impressive. Most impressive. I see that you've added a new party member. Now you have a robotic claw thing, crab guy. Where is Celsig, though? Did you change him out for this? I think that's rather unfortunate. You're not going to be able to have him investigate anything this way. I don't think it's going to pick any locks, do you?" And he kind of bangs on the side, dong dong of the, and Celsig, you hear this as gong gong, like, on the inside. Where is Celsig?
Celsig's inside. This is a.
I knock back. Dung, dung.
Oh, ingenious. You built this machine?
I look to the other items. I'm like, I don't remember what this is called. I don't. This is gnomish in creation. I'm just like, we didn't build it. It was gifted to us by the giants.
Ah, well, it looks like an apparatus of some kind. This is those gnomes are always coming up with different names.
That's it.
Apparatus of the
Apparatus
nose
of-
spinners, apparatus of the...
Apparatus of Cornish! Stand back!
Okay, so and he sort of steps back a little taken aback, literally.
That was it. The
I opened the
apparatus
hatch.
The apparatus of Quillrash. That was it.
Apparatus of Urash. Okay, so it opens up, and you see Celsig inside, and he waves, "Well, this is very impressive, Celsig. I am most amused by this. It seems a little unwieldy for dungeon crawling, but I could imagine many applications of this elsewhere. Can it go under the water then?"
It can, to a certain degree. Haven't really seen how much, but we went under and we came back up again.
Oh, we should experiment
is-
with it. I could drape it below with 2 ropes hanging underneath the tower. We could go down to the water, drag it along, and see how well it does, whether it floods or something like that.
How would you know if it floods?
Well, we'd know when we bring it up and we open it up, and if there's water that pours out, well, then we'll know.
Ah, right. So, I thought I was going to be in it.
Well, oh, well, I could cast water breathing. That's not a problem.
It's the sort of idea I've been getting from my friends a lot lately.
I'm
That's
sure
that's
you
a running
have.
theme.
I'm sure you
Yeah.
have. It seems that we have some things to speak about, my friends. Here, let us go on over here if we can. We should probably go up to the bridge, though, since I gather we're headed somewhere important. You told me there was a place you needed to find, and that you thought you would track down King Hecaton, but I need to know more details. And he goes over and he snaps his finger and begins to elevate as you're all looking up at him, like he starts to levitate. And, "Oh, yes, I've forgotten. My apologies." And he sort of lowers back down and he puts down his hands basically so you could like grab onto his leg or like crawl up or whatever and hold on to him if you all wish.
Yes. Yes, I do.
Does everyone do that?
I,
Okay.
I hold on.
So he kind of
I have
elevates.
fallen down this tower before.
Yes.
Yeah, let's not do
Apparently,
this.
everyone on my party has only just found out the joke behind my name.
I
No,
knew-
we're completely
like-
ignoring the game right now. We're too
Why
busy
is
in chat.
why is me and Greta the only one who knew this?
I mean,
I don't know. I've never known that Celsigmar was roughly
I-
translated as big sausage.
maybe,
I
but
don't
maybe
know
he just
Welsh.
likes large sausages. There's no
I don't
reason
even-
for.
I'm not even mad. I'm just disappointed.
Then why'd you keep it hidden from
Be
me for
disappointed
so
in it.
long?
I've
I thought we were
said what it
friends.
means. It's
To
just
be honest,
not
I'd
come
really
up.
rather he keeps his big sausage in. To be perfectly honest with you. This is not that sort of stream. We're not
This is
paying
where the
this
party
stuff.
falls apart. It's like I can't
My
believe it.
parents named me.
Yeah, be disappointed in his parents. They were like, "Well, look at this baby, whoa, big sausage." It makes
That's it. That's basically what they did. Oh my
Have you
god.
never called your child a little sausage? Is that just a British thing?
No, I've never called my child.
Never called my child little sausage. No.
Must just be a British thing. Mike?
Yeah.
Don't throw me in that basket.
Many
I've
things are.
never
Is that
called
just a
children
Welsh
little
thing? Is that what you're
sausage.
saying?
It's a Welsh thing.
Apparently it's just my parents' thing.
Okay, well, I do call my daughter a little turkey when she's being a hellion. So
There we
I
go.
can kind of see
There
where
we
you're
go.
coming from there.
A little turkey does not have any remote related
not at all.
connotations that
There
I'm
you-
aware of. That-
And for years I've just been having a little private joke with like the random Welsh speaker who just comes in and just goes,
See, that's what this really is, exactly. This is an attempt to just basically get Welsh people to think that we're
My
silly.
God,
But
this is
you
a
told
long
us
play
about the
for
name
you,
when
mate.
You created the character. You told us about the name when you created the character. I remember it.
I don't
it was
remember
just
you
a funny
mentioning it was
name.
large
I was just
sausage.
like, I wanted to do
I
something in
wasn't
Welsh
alive
because like
then.
I was like, there's so much Welsh that you can pass off as a name. And then I thought, well, I want it to be a joke, even if it's only a joke for me.
I like the fact that the only person who was there at the point of character creation is the only person who knows what the character's name actually means. The other two people, we weren't even. This campaign's been going on for 35.
I mean, I was
years.
there. I forgot it. Like, oh my goodness.
20
How do I one up
campaigns,
this for
man.
talisman?
Okay,
I know.
let's. We should now clear this up.
Troubling.
You need to.
We should now clear this up. Allow everybody state their reason for the first name or like the name of the characters. So I called my character Greta because my very first Shadowrun character, the longest played character that I have, with a character sheet, an original one that is slowly falling apart and feels like wool by now.
Okay.
It was called Gretchen. And so like kind of a good luck charm, I decided to call this character Greta.
Okay.
And then when I was like have a look at the spells and everything, Greta is not a character I created. I got her from Arv. I decided for Golden Fire as a last name. So,
It's true, 'cause
Ike.
yeah. At the time,
How
at the
you-
time, we thought that it was. I didn't know if this was going to be a long-running thing, and then it just turned out that it took off, and so that's why we ended up with that as well. Okay, so Mike, why did you call? Why is Urash Urash?
Why is it Urash Urash? Because I went on fantasynamegenerator.com, typed in half-orc names, and that was the third one in the list that didn't sound ridiculous.
Outstanding.
That's it. Next.
I think I did go through that with a few halfling ones before I went, I can do better.
How about I call myself Large Sausage? That'll work.
Oh, little Chai is
Oh
in
no.
need of chai.
Oh, poor little Chai.
Oh.
So, can you just sign language us why you called yourself River?
I'll try to talk over her. She's really upset.
Really upset. Oh dear.
I was
We
going
can come
by my backstory, because my backstory is that I'm a hermit, and so I thought, what's something that I would see a lot that I would then name myself after?
And it would
A
be River. Okay.
I thought like leaf, tree. No, I thought river made more sense. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So there we go. Those were that makes sense. And I'm sorry, little Chai. Yeah. So those are why. And in case anyone's curious, even though nobody asked, the reason that my name is this way is because it is named after a character in my first novel. Because when I first started streaming, it was right after I got tenure, but before I was promoted, and I didn't yet know whether streaming on Twitch was acceptable. And now that I have both tenure and promoted, I don't care anymore. So I could just call myself my regular name, because it's not like it's a secret. But that by that point, everyone was calling me Arv and Arvin, and changing my name to my real name of Greg Wilson would be a little weird. But everyone knows me as that off stream regardless. So now we all know what we all call ourselves our names. Do you know what Arvin Elrond is not a reference to? Sausage or bacon or anything relating to anatomical parallels. So I just want to make that clear. But anyway, now we all know.
Honestly, that was never actually part of it. It was just like, big sausage, get it? Because he's a small halfling, so he's big.
Right.
And then I just liked how Celsic sounded in Welsh and thought that'd make a good name.
And the other connotation didn't occur till later?
It didn't. That's the thing.
So you played yourself, is what we're saying
Yeah,
here. Okay.
I smell lies.
It's kind of the chickens have come home to roost tonight.
Exactly. Anyway, super. That's really funny. Okay. So, anyway, as we were saying, so Zephyros brings you up to the bridge, and as usual, you may remember. Those of you who don't know, by the way, I don't have this picture here at the moment. I don't think, but Zephyros's tower is quite literally a hat. Like it literally is a tower with a wizard's hat on it. And so the top of that, let me actually see if I can find it because it's sort of worth seeing.
Oh,
And I
it's a
know I
sight.
used to have it.
It's a sight.
Let's see. Okay. Zephyros' tower. Not that. Oh my god. So long ago. There's Zonthal's tower. That doesn't help.
We could have had in the second tower.
There we go. Oh no, there's Zephyros. There we go. Got it.
Towers for everyone.
There it is. Yay. There is literally the side view of the Tower of Zephyros. And everyone was always like, ha ha hat. And I'm like, no, really, it's an actual honest to God wizard's
it's
hat.
An actual wizard's hat.
So
It set
the
tones.
bridge
like the
is.
first thing that we saw, wasn't it? It's like, for me anyway, it's like really
Was the
set
hat.
tone for the rest of the game.
Exactly. And so this is the thing. And so the bridge is basically up in this eyrie, is what it says. And so you've got the windows looking out. There are several control panels with sticks and levers and complicated looking things like that. And then around it are all of these things of straw where, because there are large windows out of which can be opened and out of which the griffins can fly. And we have things like, Wingdings and Buckbeak and all of the characters there were able to be part of Zephyros' Griffin flying crew, if you will. They also, of course, all love the party members, although Selsig, I think, always feels slightly nervous when they're constantly nosing around him. Like, is that love or is that I'd like you for a snack? But a large sausage. But in any case, they that is what they're doing. So they bring you up, he brings you up to the eyrie. It is a sculpted hat. It is not a hat made of cloth, although I should have added that in because that would have been really funny, but no. It is a sculpted hat. Different Airy. That's different Airy. Also, Airy was awesome in Baldur's Gate 2. As you were traveling along, Zephyros sort of sets you all up and sits you down in these still rather too large for you chairs, although it looks like since he met you the first time, he's modified this a bit. Like he's taken chairs and he seems to have basically sawed off the legs of them so that you can still sit in them, but they're like basically big chairs that just sit directly on the ground. So you can get onto them fairly easily, but then you're just sort of sitting there with this big high back behind you for the chair. But anyway, he's making an effort. And as you're sitting there, he says, "All right, now, questions, there are many. The first is, how did you discover that King Hecaton is on this ship, whatever it is? How did you discover this? Who gave you the information?"
Okay, I think it was a long train of deduction. Because, cool, I will need help here. So we heard about this big ship going around. We heard about ships sinking, and we also realized that they might be like moving King Hecaton just to be safe. And we got another really good hint recently. Which was it?
So we went to the Grand Dame to speak to someone whose name temporarily escapes me. Insert character.
Dryland.
Yeah. Dryland.
Right,
thank you.
Caspier
How can I
Dryland.
Forget that. Casper Dryland.
And his pet octopus.
Who is now literally Casper the Unfriendly Ghost. So basically, we got onto the ship, interviewed Mr. Dryland, and he said that, if memory serves, Hecaton was being stored on a ship.
Yes.
And it was the Order, which later turned out to be the Order of the Kraken.
Kraken, yes.
Gonna wait for Arv to
That's right.
correct me. Yeah, okay,
It's
cool.
it's actually the Kraken Society is what he described
the Kraken
it as. But
Society, yeah. So he then suffered huge, massive head bleeding trauma, died. We could probably gloss over what happened next, which essentially involved Greta resurrecting him and then somebody else killing him, so he wasn't having a great day. We then presented this information to Queen Neri. The names now escape me because whilst I have a new notebook, I haven't actually thought out
you're right.
the notes from my several other notebooks. So is it Queen Neri or Princess Neri? Who's the princess? Was it Sarissa?
Well, Sarissa's the princess, but you you were trying
Yeah,
to.
so we went back to Sarissa,
Right.
and we, using a scroll of resurrection, which my comrade quite bravely got from her church, we resurrected Queen Neri. And using all of this information, we realised that King Hecaton was most likely being stored on insert name of ship here.
Right. Did he? And I should double check. I don't remember if he told you the name of the ship. There is a ship name, but I don't remember if he told it to you.
Can you tell me the letter it begins with?
M.
Because I remember M, not Maelstrom.
Morkoth.
Morkoth.
Yes, there you
Morkoth.
go. Okay, I thought that I did. I just want to make sure.
Yes, the
Yes, it
Morkoth,
is the
which looks like a
Morkoth.
big squid, basically. There is also a big squid, a big kraken,
Yes.
apparently. But
Yeah.
this looks like a big kraken. It's followed by lots of storms.
Yeah, there was something like about a really big ancient kraken under the sea, which is really angry and hates stuff.
Well, yeah, I think that's what, and I'm turning to Greta at this point. Like, I think that's what the Kraken Society worship. Like, I worship
Yes.
Tempest, you worship Pholtus.
That was
Like,
this
maybe
thing.
they, we know there are also nature-based gods and religions, and I know people who worship trees. I mean, they're weird, but I know them, and it's not unheard of that someone would go, "Ooh, a big sea creature. Let's make a religion out of it."
So,
Yeah.
oh, go ahead.
And our next steps were trying to narrow down where this ship would be moving along. And that's why we were at the coast and asking people strange questions.
So Zephyros,
Lot of
as
information.
is typical for him, no, it's good. Zephyros, as is typical for him, kind of doesn't say anything yet. He, listens and sort of takes it all in, and then when you're done, he sort of sighs and sort of strokes his beard and looks much more serious than he usually does. And you notice that even the griffins around him seem kind of like vaguely uncomfortable. They stir in their nests a little bit, and he says, "This is very troubling. A lot of what you've said is very troubling. For King Hecaton to have been taken away somewhere, kidnapped, betrayed, brought to some ship." And he shakes his head. He says, "Hecaton is many things. Like many giants, he is sometimes prone to anger. Like many giants, he sometimes acts before he thinks. But he is not foolish, and he has lived a long time, and he is extremely strong. Subduing him would not have been easy. Whatever it is that we're going to find here..." And he sighs. He says, "Also, this thing you mention of the Kraken Society. This is also troubling to me. There is a rumor, you might say, something I have heard throughout my travels over countless years, of creatures, enormous ones, that ply the sea. Sometimes they are things like simply a large octopus or a squid that perhaps someone a little bit into their cups has seen and thinks is something enormous. Monsters, for example. But there are several creatures enormous, larger than life, that I myself have seen. Some years ago, I was traveling over this very sea, in fact, the Trackless Sea, and way below, far below me, I saw there was a ship that was plying its merry way. Then there were alarms, shouts that reached me. I looked through, and down below, something, I don't know what, pulled this ship below the surface. By the time I took the tower down to see what was happening, all that was left was simply boiling water, bubbles, and nothing else. There is something enormous in these waters, and if it is one of the great sea beasts of legend, then we are dealing with something beyond any of our abilities, at least under normal circumstances. As for what this ship is that you're referring to, I've never seen a ship that looks like a big squid, but I certainly have seen storms. We need to figure out how we can best find them. If a storm is simply on its own, moving with a certain purpose, that should be able to prove something to us. Storms move in particular ways, and if they move as if directed, that suggests there's magic behind it. But it's a big ocean, and he kind of waves, highlights the ocean, and he says, and even above like this, even with magical assistance, it may take us a while. There is one possibility, though. One thing which might speed things up, but I'll give you the choice as to what you want to do. One choice, Selsig, is to take that extraordinary invention of yours there, and to bring your ship. What did you call it? Good to see you, Claudia. Claudia, yes. If you could bring Claudia below the surface. I don't know how many can fit inside it, but perhaps you could take it and go below the surface. Search underneath for disruption. That's one choice. A second option would be to bring the griffins out. And the griffins all sort of stir at hearing referred to as the griffins. You could bring the griffins out. If 3 or 4 of you, or even 2 of you, were to scan around the tower, we can cover much more ground as 3 or 4 than as 1. That's another choice. Another option is to simply stay together in the tower, and, if you will, loop. Go left, then right, then left again, while I use whatever magical ability I have to be able to track down more. That's another possibility. Or, any suggestions that you have, I'd be happy to consider. But whatever we choose, if Hecaton has been taken, I don't think we have much time to be able to find him, especially given how long it took us to get to this point.
I also should probably mention that we believe that this Morkoth ship is not trackable by magic. There is a potential that Queen Neri tried to scry it, see it magically, and she couldn't find an exact location for it, so you may have trouble with that. However, I turn to the rest of the party. Going out on the Griffins is probably a better idea than what we've been thinking of so far. We have
What if the Ring
several...
of Winters on the Morkoth?
Possibly, yeah.
Remember that?
It's
Yes,
possible.
Yeah, from long ago.
Were we
The
going to get
One
paid
Ring
for
of
finding
Winter.
that? I can't even remember.
No, we
I
were
have
not
no idea.
being paid for that. The nephew of the guy who had the ring just more or less randomly talked to us,
Yes.
but we're not getting paid. But
Someone,
thank you for asking,
Artist
Celsic.
Simba. Artist Simba was the name. Was a name I remember.
Yep.
Russia just sat in the corner. Artist Simba. Yeah, no, I don't know about that. I mean, if we find it, I mean, it may be worth something to someone, or someone could use it, but it's probably not in the best of hands right now.
Well, no, because we can't find it. We need to find where. Well, it's just an assumption. It's food for thought.
I have a feeling if we go in this direction, we're probably going to find it. I mean, it's probably going to be in the hand of someone who wants us dead, but then that's kind of our bag. So.
If the theory's right, it might be worthwhile us having it in case someone tries to come after us. They're probably not going to be happy.
Wait, do I still have my necklace? I'm looking at Arv now. Do I
Your
have
necklace
my
of which?
The one I got identified, and it was to stop me being seen.
Yes.
The one with a big eye on it. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm like, well, this helps as well, and I hold this eye pendant up. I'm like, someone said this stops me from being seen magically, so like.
Yeah, interesting. Hang on, where was
It's
it?
a thing.
Yeah, and I also had a thing with an eye on it. Oh, interesting. I hold up my lantern, which lets me see things that you usually can't see from 60 feet away.
Yes, there you go.
I'd forgotten about your magic lantern, and you've got a weird magic music box as well.
Yeah.
You've got lots of little weird trinkets and treasures in that bag of yours, haven't you?
No.
So no. Just got food.
I have this image of your lantern versus Urash's divinate. Like, only one can win this battle. Like, what?
Roll for initiative.
I'm more hidden. No, I'm more hidden. This is the invisibility and advanced invisibility argument.
Exactly. Well, and slightly different anyway, in that the necklace is anti-divination, not invisibility. So you're quite visible at the moment. Yeah. So.
But the Ring of Winter, just as a bookkeeping note, the Ring of Winter didn't make you invisible, did it?
No.
We believe it had icy properties, though we didn't know what they were, and it prevented you from being. It concealed the wearer from sight.
Magical tracking, I believe the wording was.
Right, and it depends on the circumstances within wintry conditions. Like, part of what it does is prevent tracking in sort of ice and snow conditions. And more importantly, for your purposes, it also has a tendency to draw giants to it, like moths to the flame. as it were. Particularly frost giants.
Are we certain we don't have this?
Yes.
If we haven't accidentally picked this up, have we?
Oh,
'Cause we've
whoops!
been
You
attracting
have
that
not
a lot.
found the ring.
Oh, you mean this? Oh, I picked this up in Bryn Chandler.
What are you looking at me for?
It's
I'll
like
pick
Princess
this up.
Bride. There is no gate key.
Yeah.
Fezzik tear his arms off. Oh, you mean this gate key? Like,
Yeah.
oh, you mean this ring?
Pretty much, yeah. You mean this one, right? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Got that. Okay, cool. So, yeah, to be honest, I think using the griffins is a really good idea. Like we can spread out and
But-
cover more area and then come back.
I think we narrowed it down to a few regions, didn't we,
You
somehow?
did. You did.
Yes, yeah, we did.
Okay.
Yeah, that's very true.
That's right.
So
we
we
narrowed
narrowed
it down
down
to a few
to-
reasons.
The north of the trackless sea, which I know sounds counterintuitive, but it's not the rest of the Sword Coast. Like,
Right.
There was a point like I think someone said, "Oh, I've never seen it south of such and such an island."
Right.
So we're like, okay, so we'll just search north then.
So somewhere in here, right, in this area, basically, is what you were told. Now so you're 100% right. Even there, even if you assume that that's the amount, so let's put a little circle around that. This area is still a lot, right?
Yeah.
It's not, but it's definitely not the entire ocean, which would be very hard.
No,
But
exactly.
that's the area that we're looking at here,
Yeah.
based on the information you had before.
Yes.
Sephiroth, if you wanted to keep a powerful giant prisoner for a long time, how would you do it?
Well, first I'd have to keep him sedated somehow, magically ensorcelled, asleep or in stasis, something of that sort. There's no way that a ship could contain Hecaton that way unless they have things far beyond my understanding. And the problem, it's a question of weight ratios, you see. Even if they could, on board a ship, find something which could cage a giant of Hecaton's strength and ability, it would require bars of such strength and such density that it would weigh down any normal ship. So they would have to keep him sedate, they would have to keep the bars that support him would either have to be magical or the ship magical to stay up with all the weight that's on top of it. There is, of course, one last possibility. If they controlled his mind, he, well, might not be trying to escape.
Is that possible? Is
I
there
cannot
magic
see
to
it.
do that?
Hecaton is the most stubborn giant that I ever met. But very little of what has happened over the last several years has seemed possible. Who is it that was responsible for this? You mentioned a name. Someone that might have been responsible for putting all of this into play.
Oh,
A major player is a blue dragon called Imrith.
Imrith. That was it.
So now when you say Imrith, he stops and like for a moment his hands move like the ship's like slightly goes and he's like and he turns back. Imrith, you mean the advisor to the queen
Yes.
Yeah.
is
Still
a blue
tr-
dragon?
Well, that's our belief. Yes.
Well, when we were resurrecting Queen Neri, she fled, and she has been openly hostile before. Also, we encountered a blue dragon at the Eye of the Allfather, where Heshnark called the dragon Imrith.
Imrith.
Did I get everything right? I hope I did.
I forgot about that.
That is all correct, yeah.
I forgot. He did, didn't he? And Urash
Yes,
was
he
just
did.
like,
He called.
we
He
have the link, like all this time. Like we've been.
Oh my
thinking,
gosh, how did we forget that?
Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't.
I
Maybe
did
it is.
not.
Maybe we've been thinking that I've been guessing that Imrith is a blue dragon just because of everything that's been going on. But
And-
No,
you're
Harshnag told
absolutely
us.
right.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
You see
absolutely
his
right.
like so you see
He's
Zephyros
dressed.
is like his face goes from like surprise and then shock and then so he's going through all these things and then he's like, wait, Imrith, wait, here, take this, and he literally takes I will say Urash because you're tall enough, and he takes you, he picks you up. This all seems absent-minded and puts you in front of the controls and he says, just hold those in place. And he immediately goes over and like drops down into the first floor. So you're now holding on like this, you know, like Urash like up like this, like holding it in place.
I'd just
And-
like to take this opportunity just to turn, just real quick, just to turn to Salsa and go, my ship's bigger than yours.
Yeah, but mine can fit two when you crash this.
And so a moment later, you see Zephyros appear with this enormous book. And he, you see the book first, actually. It's above his head. And then the rest of his body appears as he comes up from the bottom level. And he goes, he lands sort of right in front of you and opens this book. This book is probably the size of Urash and River put together, right? And just opens this up. And inside there are a bunch of pages, and he sorts through them. And you can see that there are all these references to like names that seem familiar to you. So he goes through and you see an A, which you might have seen Artist Simber flash through there. You see Elminster under E, and it keeps flicking off. You see Kelvin Blackstaff, who's familiar, and like all of these names from the Forgotten Realms, right? And then he comes to I, and he starts looking down the page, and he says, "It's not quite right. Imres, Imro, no." Emaresh, and then he stops. Imarish, could be, and he flips back a couple pages, and he says, yes, it must be, and he points down, and you see he's pointing at a name which is spelled Emer apostrophe ESCH, Emaresh, and he says, Emaresh, Imrith. Yes. Not even a particularly thoughtful code name, even. Emaresh was an evil blue dragon, well known for marauding various parts of the Sword Coast. But about a decade ago, Emaresh vanished from all view and knowledge, right after that business with Tiamat and the dragons. She disappeared, but I wonder if she didn't actually disappear. I wonder if she was simply waiting her time. And he points again at Emaresh. He says, blue dragons are particularly nasty. Not only do they have the ability to disguise themselves, but they can, as it were, wait their time, and they have little allegiance to anyone but themselves. It's possible that this is either Emaresh or someone who wants us to believe that it is. But if the giants allowed Imrith to join them, and Imrith, I think, did begin as an advisor, not that... And he kind of shakes his head. Foolishness. This is a breakdown in security and intelligence. How could something like this have happened? He just kind of stops and stares down at the book. And you see the picture, by the way, and Emaresh does not look pleasant. This sort of growling kind of, and you can see the picture looks as if it's about to rake its claws against some hapless victim.
So, yeah. She might be on the ship, by the way.
He certainly knows we're onto her.
We didn't know where she fled to. She was very unhappy with us, to say the least, but she decided not to confront us within the castle.
I may have blew a raspberry at her.
You say that again? I didn't hear that part.
I may have blew a raspberry at her.
And he says, well, if you've got a dragon as your enemy, that's not a good thing. But you have various giants as your allies, and that's a better thing. At least I hope so. But if you have fallen afoul of this one, he points again down at the book, then you must move carefully, because blue dragons are also well known for being able to gather together minions, servants, people who will do their bidding regardless. I don't know how this ties in with beasts of the sea. Emaresh was a dragon, not a kraken. But if Emaresh is involved in some way, she was certainly smart enough to use anything around her for her own ends. For example, to set up a society of the kraken so that it can take advantage of the power such a creature might possess.
So, we might be facing an ancient blue dragon, a powerful ancient kraken.
Who are allied.
So, I think we might figure out, like, if there's some kind of magical cage holding hackathon. How could such a cage be destroyed? Because we might be needing, like, getting him out of there and maybe doing it, like, fast, because we learned that he can breathe underwater, so if we can get him out and throw him off the boat and he can swim away, that would already maybe be the thing that we need to do.
And he says, well, there are several things you could do for that. And all of a sudden he's back to being his usual, he's like, several ways to do that. The first is the simplest one. We simply destroy it from orbit. It's the only way to be sure. We go over and we drop something right into the body of the ship, destroy the ship, and the ship goes down to the bottom of the ocean.
For once, can we not drop Urash?
I just slowly head turn towards Greta.
But I talked about this before. We fly over there, we set the ship on fire, the ship sinks, Hekaton does not drown because of being a frost giant.
And he pauses, he goes, well, the Hekaton, storm giants will be able to last for a long time, but not forever. I wonder how the ocean is rather deep, isn't it? Yes, I suppose destroying the ship might have the slight side effect of also killing King Hekaton, which is
Mr.
perhaps
Sephiroth.
not quite what we meant. There's a second option, and the second option is we assemble a great fleet from Luskan, from Neverwinter, from Baldur's Gate. Gather them all together. We should be able to do it in, let's say 4 to 6 months. Gather them all together, bring the entire fleet out, find the storm, and there we go. And he
This
kind of
can't
looks at
be
you
right
with this
now,
big
but-
smile.
Oh,
I don't feel we don't have that much time left. I don't remember why, but I feel like we don't.
Oh,
we've got
I feel like
these.
time may be against us.
I hold up the vials of giant growth.
what are those?
We were told they would help us resemble a giant for a limited time.
Ah, yes, excellent. You could resemble giants, and then one of you take the place of King Hekaton. Quite a sacrifice, but it means that Hekaton manages to make it out alive.
Yeah, one of them will have to stay behind. It is a sacrifice I'm willing to make for the good of the Sword Coast and beyond.
Well volunteered. Are
What?
So you're going to take Hekaton's place? Wow. Okay.
No, what are you?
He says, or there is...
I'm the disguise guy. I'll need to smooth talk our way out again afterwards.
There is one other possibility, and that, of course, is not to break the cage, but to unlock it. All you need is the key. And I have found that when
Maybe
I
not
am
even
missing a
that.
key, I usually find I've misplaced it somewhere on the tower. All you need to do is to find the key on that ship and open the cage. And then if that doesn't work, we can either blow it up and send it down to the bottom of the ocean, have one of you replace him as a giant, or let me know and I'll go assemble a fleet and be back in 6 months.
Or we could replace him as a giant and blow it up and send it to the bottom of the ocean, just to be sure.
Yes.
But, if we want to replace him, we still need to get him out of the cage.
Celtic, have you recently taken out life insurance against one of us? just wondering.
Not against one of you, no.
No,
No,
not against one.
no.
Okay, I feel
I
much
have
better.
taken no individual life insurance out.
Stalio likes Celtic's plan. All right, well...
Group policy.
So, yeah, actually, I think as soon as we find the ship, we will need to move. So we should get rested, we should get geared up, and then we need a way to get from the tower onto the ship.
I
I
like
got
the
it.
smashing plan.
What was that, Celtic?
I've got a way.
What you're gonna do, like,
What's got
Walk-
6 legs, 2 claws, and goes underwater?
I'm pretty sure if you drop like from 50
I know that
feet
one.
with
I know that
Claudia
one.
onto the water, that's gonna hurt.
Let's go
Why would
with
you
the
assume
estimate
you
on
would
that
drop me from 50 feet?
Because that's usually how high we are flying.
The castle can go down.
one. If we
You better be flying a lot higher than 50
have you
feet,
ever-
I'll tell you right now.
I don't know how
Have
high
you ever-
50 feet is. I just grabbed the thing out of
my
thin
God.
air.
50 feet is
got
about the
really
second
skinny.
floor of a like the third floor of a building. It's not that high.
It's
Have you
like
ever skimmed a
15
stone on a
Celtics.
lake?
But 50 feet is 50 Celtics.
Yeah, but we got Claudia up here.
It's 50
Can't we just do the
Celtics.
same
Oh,
thing
sure.
in reverse?
This
How
is traveling
short are
about
halflings?
2,000 feet above the water right now, not 50.
Yep.
And you're
We're
right,
in, like,
dropping
the
from this
clouds.
distance would hurt. That's true.
Yeah. Whereas dropping lower would probably just end up with Claudia being like a stone skimmed across a lake.
Ooh.
That wouldn't be a good. I don't think that
What
would
an
be a good
excellent idea.
alternative.
I was
Skim
hoisted
Claudia
here.
across the water right towards the ship. It's brilliant, Horace.
To the ship.
Okay,
It's a
so-
giant cannonball, and I am on
I
top of
do
it.
appreciate your enthusiasm, Zephyros.
He says, yes, and then for the first time he notices that Orash is still holding the... Oh, sorry. And he, takes you and puts you aside again and is able to take over.
Oh.
So, okay, we find the storm. We lower Claudia carefully into the water, carrying Celsic at least,
And there's room for
maybe
one more?
also. And I think River shot maybe join you because if something goes wrong, she can make sure that you two don't drown,
Yes.
which would be a good thing.
Yes.
And then we
we
like-
nuke it
Yes.
from orbit.
And then we do like a two-pronged
Yes.
attack with Urash and me coming from above and the two of you coming from below, and then we just try to fight our way through and get Hekaton out of there.
We
So
we
we're
have
gonna
skipped
go
a
to
step
about
in this
1,000
plan.
feet.
Which
There's
is-
a step. There's an important step that we seem to have overlooked. We don't know where the ship is.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
we'll find that. Don't worry about it. It's time for the ship finding montage.
yes.
Fortunately, montage. Long days past.
Is that some kind of prayer?
Sometime later.
Okay.
I should point out, if you're going to be using the Griffins to try to help to find this, there are 3 of them which remain. You remember that Wingding
Yes.
sadly fell.
Yes.
And
Yep.
so the 3 that remain,
Wingding's feathers in my axe.
yes,
Not in my axe, as part of the
exactly,
handle of my axe.
is
Yeah.
Beaky, Claws, and Squawker are the ones that remain. So Beaky, Claws, and Squawker are still there. There is also, you notice, a little small griffin. Very small. Looks like, almost like a little more than a baby, but it looks like maybe an adolescent griffin or something that you're not familiar with. It was not there the first time. You don't know whether it's big enough to carry you or not. It's definitely not mature like the other 3, but
Can we name it Comic Sans?
okay. And you can name it Comic Sans.
Excellent.
But it doesn't like
The
head
only-
scritches.
No, it's the only fun I could think of other than Wingdings.
No, but it needs head scritches.
You
Indeed,
could try
'cause
to
it
do that
is-
if you
it
want,
is a-
River.
It is a
I tried
good
to
boy
scritch
or girl.
the thing. Give head scritches.
So at first it kind of is like it's like its beak opens, but then as you just like,
All right.
you know,
Nice.
as you take the head
You made a
scritches,
friend.
I
and
made friends.
and Zephyros says, "Ah, yes, I thought one of you might make friends. He's a very likable griffin, really. I actually found him on one of the nests not that long after we first parted, in fact. His mother was destroyed by something. I could see her body at the foot of where her eyrie had been. And this one, older than a baby, was still there, but it looked, well, lost. And so I took it in. And Beaky and Claws and Squawker have been doing what they can to teach it the ropes, as it were. Still a little bit wild, doesn't quite want to listen all the time, but seems to be doing pretty well. But I don't have a name for it yet."
Helvetica.
I thought maybe Times New Roman. So-
Roman, Helvetica.
Ariel.
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 Yes.
That's
Number one.
perfect, actually.
Ariel.
Ariel, hey. Okay.
We write it like air in the beginning because it's a
Yeah.
griffin.
God, yeah, perfect.
We're having an adventure under the sea.
Yes,
Under the
absolutely. Under the sea.
And
Can't
they
say
should-
more,
Nuts
'cause
chat
it'd be
hating us now.
informal.
No one's
Griffin
pushing us tonight.
The griffins shall only look for the storm, not for the ship, because I'm afraid if the ship sees like 3 griffins flying about, they might get suspicious.
Do you think they won't be able to see past the storm, though? Presumably it's one way. They can see out, but nothing can see in. At least, if I were making a storm around my castle, that's what I would do.
That might be, but there's nothing we can do against this, and it seems more safe if they do not enter the storm.
Very logical as always, Greta, yes. Very well. Then, well, the griffins will be ready whenever you are. If you need to get a bit of rest, you can do that, but don't take too long. In the meantime, I'll continue to send this tower in the general direction of where we're going, and hopefully we'll find it sooner rather than later.
Wait, but the griffins will fly out on their own, right?
Well, the griffins will need someone to be able to direct them. They can't do
I'll
it
do it.
entirely on their own.
I'll do it.
They won't
You'll do
drop anyone, Greta. They're perfectly reliable. You've run into them before. Look at Beaky. He is the soul of discretion. And Beaky's like, "Rah!"
Yes.
I'll do it.
Burash is.
I can
is-
fly. I
Okay.
can fly. If I fall off, I just get really angry at the ground and I live.
Believes he can fly, so let's do it.
I can commune with animals. I'm a nature person.
Okay, so he
At this
nods.
stage, I'm basically a druid, just an angry druid.
Just a very angry druid. Like an erratically angry druid, like angry at
Yeah.
particular moments. Like, this is the moment where
I'm
I'm
very
angry.
calm. I'm very calm and serene. Then I just calmly announce I'm going to be very angry in a moment, and then I just split things in half.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can all agree that the first ever green superhero was literally and figuratively the Incredible Hulk. Why can't you be the same way? I mean, I feel like
Absolutely.
he was an eco-hero, really.
I feel Urash is more the Hulk in Endgame, like
Yeah.
rather than any of the other. Not like irrational hatred and like he just like I see this as an absolute win.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so so Urash, now you have your choice. Are you going to want Beaky, Claws, or Squawker? The adolescent is not going to be big enough to hold you, but and also
Yeah,
is a little
that's
wild. So Beaky, was Beaky is a she. Beaky was Wingding's mate, actually, and Claws and Squawker look almost identical to each other. Very dark feathers. Beaky, her feathers are a little bit lighter, but her beak looks very fearsome, like dramatically curved beak, and all of them otherwise are big enough to carry you. Although if you're going on one of them, that's all they'll carry is just you. That one griffin, that is to say, but not Ariel, because Ariel is not big enough. But the other three could.
Yes. So I will choose Beaky.
Okay. So Beaky sort of nuzzles up and to you, and he says, "Splendid, splendid. Now, Beaky, make sure when you take Urash out that you're careful. No dropping him. We only have one of him, and we'll need all of him if we're to survive what happens next." And Beaky,
I pet Beaky lightly. I'm like, it's okay. I'm just as dangerous when I'm in half. It's fine.
and Beaky kind of like curves her head up underneath. And so Zephyros turns and says, "Well, that leaves 2.5, I suppose. For you, we have Claws and Squawker." And he looks at and I think the other one who was going was, actually, you hadn't decided this yet. So there are 2 griffins left, 2.5 maybe, for the 3 of you-ish.
Aren't they like going in a swarm?
Well, sure, but they're going in different directions, right? They're going up
Now-
in the same
Oh.
area
Question.
Oh.
to cover more ground.
Quick mechanical question.
Yeah.
What I can do is, if you guys want to get a rest, I can go out with the griffins. Everyone goes off in opposite directions. Everyone comes back after a certain amount of time. I commune with animals. I speak with animals as a ritual, and I speak to them to see if they've seen anything. Or 2 of the 3 of you mount up and ride with me, therefore foregoing a rest. Your choice.
Will the
But
dragons?
that's an option.
Will the griffins be able to efficiently search on their own?
Not particularly. The griffins. I mean, the griffins are. They're intelligent creatures, but not enough to be able to go look for a storm that looks like this and travels this way. Like that's too many. Go fetch, but
Bear
only
with
fetch
me,
the red
so-
ball on Thursdays when Moon is with Venus. Like,
They'll just report the nearest light shower they find.
that's right.
Yeah, well, bear with me a second. So if I choose, where is speak with animals? Speak with animals. Let me have a quick look. You gain the ability to comprehend and verbally communicate with beasts for a duration.
Right.
The knowledge and awareness of many beasts is limited by their intelligence, but at minimum, beasts can give you information about nearby locations and monsters, including whether they can perceive or have perceived within
sure.
the past day.
Yep.
Yeah, you might be able to persuade the beast to perform a small favor for you at the DM's discretion. So, riddle me this, Mr. DM.
Okay.
If I cast Speak with Animals now and discuss with them, I impart upon them the term storm, bad weather, that sort of thing. Very simple commands. And then we fly out. What are the chances of us all going out and then all coming back, and then me using Speak with Animals again, say, have you seen storm, bad weather?
I think so. What I would say with that is, I think you could probably do a version of that, but the thing about it is, this is not just a storm, right? Because there are storms on the ocean all the time, hence Storm King's Thunder. There are storms everywhere. It's the fact that it is targeted and that it's moving in a certain way, and that's the part that I'm not quite sure you'd be able to explain, right? Like you could say.
So I think that's the trade-off, isn't it? So like if I go out on my own with them, then that's the trade-off of they'll find storms in general, and at that point we have more storms to investigate. But then we have almost a dotted line of, well, we'll go here and then here and then here and then here, or multiple people mount up, we all ride out in different directions, all come back, and then we can verbally converse about what we have seen.
Right. So what I would say is mechanically the way this will work is I would say that anyone who is mounted on a griffin, flying with the griffin, can, along with the griffin, be able to make certain perception checks to basically give you a lead on where the next thing might be, right? Like show you think you see some clouds on the horizon and then you get closer and there's lightning in a particular way, like that kind of thing, right? So what I'll say is that if you are mounted on a griffin, I will give you advantage on those checks to get that lead. If the griffin is on its own, I will give it disadvantage to that check because it does need someone to be able to direct him, okay? So that's how this would work mechanically. So you have to balance the sort of ability to not have to worry about having your other party members out doing whatever versus the chance that them being on it makes it more likely they'll find this thing quicker, theoretically.
That makes sense. So also mechanically, how long do you believe this would take? How long are we spending out?
No way to know that. I mean, that's really dependent on you.
Okay.
What I'm going to basically say is that you'll get a chance to make one of these perception checks every hour in game time. And when you make a check, if it's successful, then you will go on to the next check as it gets closer, because you're not just going to be like, storm, there it is, right? It'll be a few checks consecutive that you would have to make that would bring you in the right direction.
Okay, cool. So we're getting down to the bits and pieces of it now. So if I ask Zephyros, how long can one of your griffins fly for before they need to come back to the tower?
He says, I would say several hours. They're quite strong, probably 3 hours perhaps, before they have to go back. But griffins, even though I do have plenty of food for them there, they do eat a lot and require rest between these travels. So, on one hand, you could send all of them out at once, cover a lot of ground, or you could send several out. When the other two come back, you relieve them, as it were, send out 2 more, and so on. That way, you could always have one of them out and searching. But 1 is not as many as 3, last time I checked, and so having 3 out at once might give you a chance to cover more ground more quickly, but then you would need to have all of them rest for a few hours afterwards.
I look at the others. 2 and 2. 2 out, 2 back, then the party members swap out and griffins swap out.
Are you counting Ariel over there? And Ariel is like, rawr!
I kind of look at Ariel and then I look at Celsig. And I don't actually say anything.
Ariel looks at Celsig and goes, caw.
How small
Ariel
is
likes
Ariel?
you.
I look tasty. I've never been too sure. They've been
Or it
fine
could
so
be-
far.
It could be myself and Greta go out on a griffin each, come back, and then one other griffin goes out with Celsig and River, because they are arguably the 2 lightest members. Then they have double perception checks. I don't know what the best thing to do is here, in order to cover as most ground without exhausting us.
I think we should actually go like in a complete team of 3, because if we are all on different schedules, we will always have one who is current or 2 who are currently very sleepy. And if we're all on the same schedule, it might be easier to get the whole group ready if we need to get ready.
Okay, so you think send 3 people out with 3 griffins and have one
Yes.
party member stay behind?
Yes. And
Okay,
that one
that's a
party member who
good
stays
plan.
behind can do care for our weapons and prepare everything else that we can get prepared. We will also need really warm clothes, because I'm pretty sure that flying around on griffins will be cold again.
Yes, I don't appear to have had any issues with cold weather recently. I'm not sure why that is, possibly because of these fashionable furry boots I acquired, but that's completely...
I did give everybody socks, I would remind you.
And the socks as well.
Yeah.
The
At
socks
great
are just
personal cost.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Great personal, yeah. It really was a great personal cost.
And we're gonna need them now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good idea. Greta, I think, is a really good idea. Who needs the most rest out of us? But who needs to stay behind for a bit and potentially either rest fully or use some hit dice?
I'm actually fine. I could go out.
Let me just double check how fine I am because I have an unfortunate habit of saying I'm fine when I've actually just lost 2 limbs. No, I am actually fine.
Yeah, I have most of you as fine. I think the only one, River's like 1 hit point down, I think.
Yeah,
That's it.
I'm 1 hit point down
Okay.
because I tried to eat a crab and it.
That's right.
It hit me. That's
That's right.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
right.
Actually, I even
I
have
forgot
all of my
about that.
spells, so yeah, I'm good.
Oh wow, excellent. Oh wow, yeah, you're good to go. Okay, Celsig, you're doing all right.
I'm still
Yeah.
2 hit dice down apparently for some reason, but maybe I just did not.
I'm
I
not
have
sure.
6
Did
out of
we
8 hit dice.
have we?
I don't know.
I have 7 out of 8 hit dice. I'm not sure if we've long rested in a while.
We have long rested. We did it.
Yeah, we stayed at the
We
tavern.
were so
after
proud of
this.
ourselves.
Oh, that's right. We did.
Yeah, you did.
I forgot about that.
Mhm.
That's my
You did indeed.
bad.
And we've definitely had no
Um,
major incidents since then.
Then it doesn't really matter who goes out and who doesn't. Really, I would love to go out to search for it because I get stir crazy if I'm just sat around doing nothing. I'd rather do something to help the cause.
Yep. I'll go out as well.
I wanna go. I gotta go.
You can see how Claudia works better in the open ocean.
That's true. You could, yeah, actually, you could go down and see how Claudia works in the ocean. Have Zephyros just kind of either stay here or poodle around a bit and
Yeah.
do whatever.
Although I would feel more comfortable if I've got some way of getting out of there in a hurry, because
And-
River can help me breathe underwater.
And
Well, Zephyros said he could help you with that.
you can.
Yeah, but it was pull me out and see if it's full of water. Might be a
Zephyros
bit
smiles.
But it's still like now training like Claudia watering maneuvers could be a good idea.
That is true. So what do we want to do?
Oh, yeah.
Do we want everyone to go out, or do we want someone to stay back and keep an eye on or assist Celsig? So 2 with Claudia, 2 on Griffins, or 3 on Griffins, Claudia in the ocean.
I'm rummaging my backpack and
Okay.
oh, forgot I had this potion of water breathing.
Oh, excellent.
There we go.
There we
There
go.
you go. If you get in trouble, then you have a get out of trouble free flask.
Yeah, it'd be a shame to lose Claudia, but it'd be worse to die.
It'd be worse to lose you.
Yeah, I mean
be
we've already
honest,
used the necromancy, so
Yeah. I mean, I'm reasonably certain Greg could bring you back, but I'm not 100%
No,
certain you'd
no,
be
no, no,
as
no, no.
wily. You wouldn't have your necessary ranger guile that you normally have.
I'm a bit out of my element.
Hmm.
And apparently Greta's not that keen on helping me if I die.
I can help you, but I would have to be like really quick, like 1 minute quick, and I'm not sure we're gonna be back in time.
I'm not sure I'd float up to the surface in time.
See?
Yeah.
I mean, how afraid are you?
Eh?
Okay,
That implies knowledge of the situation.
I could do something, but that spell then is used, and we might not get it back in time.
Nah.
Okay. No death ward for you then. Okay. Well, Greta starts putting on warm clothes and very visible so that River can see it, the socks. And then, like, hey Squawk. Hi. There was one called Squawk, right?
Yeah, Squawker.
Squawker, yes.
Squawker.
And
yeah,
Squawker.
Hi. Hi, Squawker.
Squawker seems very calm. Squawker kind of like caws a little bit, just looks at you magnificently, slightly in profile.
Squawker, have you ever wanted to be a storm hunter? Because now is the chance.
And Squawker looks back. Caw!
Wonderful. I take that as a yes.
What was the name of the third griffin?
So Beaky, Claws, and Squawker.
Claws.
And the adolescent known as Ariel.
So River's got claws, which is something we already know.
Exactly. So River's on Claws. Squawker.
Thank you,
Greta's on
I'm here all
Squawky.
week.
It's on Squawker, and Celsig is staying, and Urash is on Beaky, and Celsig is staying
Yes.
back to work out Claudia as opposed to Claws.
Yes.
Okay. This seems broad, and I do want everyone to just know, I'm going to talk about this again. I want everyone in chat to understand the visual that we have 3 lifting off from a wizard's tower with a magic hat on it, and it involves 3 with griffins, on the backs of griffins, and then the tower is going to sink down so that Celsig can jump into his claw submarine, his crab submarine, while they're out doing this. I just want that visual out there.
That's it.
And I want to note to anyone, including Watsy, you're welcome. And if you'd like to come talk to me about movie rights, please, just keep
And this is why Thunderbird 2 was the best Thunderbird.
the best of all Thunderbirds. It's true.
yeah,
Also,
no,
separately, welcome everybody to episode 259 of Pen and Pixels, D&D with GOG, Storm King's Thunder. I am joined, as always, by the amazing GOG stream crew of Pyron J, Darksaber2K, Peripheral Mike, and Tasty Chai, who are all playing for you, and they will be playing next week for you with Talisman Adventures. But for right now, we are continuing with this amazing awesomeness known as D&D with this amazing set of players. So, if you like this, follow the channel, sub to GOG, and let the powers that be know and spread the word that you would love to see more of this, because definitely I think Pyron and the GOG com Twitch channel would love to know that lots of people like that. So thank you for the follow, GamerMate. Okay, so you have all decided that you're going to do that. So assuming that's the case, I guess what we'll do is have the griffins go off first before the towers go down. So we'll have the tower goes down to let Celsig off. So the griffins are ready to lift off. Now, there are... it's not really saddled. They're like, none of them have saddles per se. But there are these kinds of reins that basically can be moved around like this. That can be kind of be moved around the neck. To keep the sort of you from falling off completely. And the feathers are very sort of strong. Like, you get the impression that you don't just feathers, like, they have to mean it when they molt. You know what I mean? Like, it's not just like I just hold a feather and that's immediately going to slip out. So you think you could get a reasonably good purchase on this animal. That said, though, are any of you making special preparations for the flight as you are heading out?
I'm not, but I've just had a thought. So my axe has part of Wingding's feathers in the shaft
Right.
slash handle, right? There's no issues from Beaky, right? Like, it doesn't smell like Wingdings or anything like that.
Not that you know. But I'm not sure
Okay.
unless you think that Beaky would blame you for the loss of Wingdings. It's like, that would
No,
be...
I just wondered, like, is Beaky going to be angry, upset? Is there going to be a weird reaction? Or
Maybe
there hasn't been so
inspired
far,
for her
so-
mate.
Maybe. I don't know. I just thought, like, that's why I chose Beaky, because I'm like,
Yeah, no, it makes sense. For
yeah.
sure.
So I just wanted to make sure.
Yeah.
Let's spread out. I go north.
I go south because it's not likely to be that way.
I will go.
You're gonna find it. That just sealed it.
I'm gonna go east to Neverwinter.
So none
I'm
of
gonna go
basically
to-
all you're just so you're all gonna Last Jedi this and go on useless side missions while the tower plows forward. Is that what we're doing? I just want to be clear.
I just
that
get
I
my
know.
quest book out and I'm just like, and there was a fire giant.
Yeah,
to go and
exactly.
screw
I need to
over,
do that. I
and
need to turn in this. Yeah.
I've finally unlocked the airship. I can go do all these side quests.
No,
Where
I'm
was
there
that
for it.
legendary
Yeah,
weapon?
this is the part where we abandon the main plot for 70 hours.
I'm just like, see you later, giant folk.
Dateline 2050. We're almost done with Storm King's Thunder.
Is there an arena around here I could go visit and become?
Is there
champion
someone
of?
just
Like,
making these quests up as we go?
I'm
Exactly.
pretty sure we have to grind for ultimate weapons too. So like,
We've got
Does everyone
wings
remember
now.
to turn your griffin around in time?
I see Goldleet
I'm,
655 is coming towards us. That means that there must be a real quest there and not a player with a bad name. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much.
So
Actually,
okay.
this is my heel turn. I'm just like, I've been chaotic evil all this time. I'm in it.
You're a terrible chaotic evil player then.
I really am. No, I really would be. I'd make an awful evil player. Okay, I'll go west. If Greta's going north and River's going south, then I'll go west.
Okay. All right. Give me just one
on
second.
the- On the
He's not gonna
map.
play the Bonanza theme.
Yeah.
And copyright strike.
And DMCA'd. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't... Man, I wanted to get a real one for this. Can someone explain to me why exactly I ask for Griffin and Roll20 brings me this? Like,
That's an exploding griffin.
that is...
Pizza.
What is that?
That's,
It's
a
an
Grenade
explosion.
sounds a bit like Griffin.
It's a griffin. bomb.
Griffin explosion. Like, what is even... I don't...
I'm pretty sure that's been nicked from Warhammer 40,000.
Is that what it is? Like,
It's a Warhammer
Wow.
40,000 blast token.
and then
I was
there's
gonna say
this.
that-
What
I
the
knew
hell
that
is
looked a
this?
bit
Why is
familiar.
this a griffin? How is that a griffin?
That's
It's a tree.
somewhat suggestive.
Well,
thought it was a shield.
yes, maybe. I don't know, but that's a tree. All right, wait a minute.
Oh, I know why. I know why. Because I've been using Roll20 currently and I've been DMing. Because the whole search thing doesn't work properly and does not look through the free assets on Roll20 actually, which
true.
sucks.
The answer.
I found it. That's
the
what we
answer.
want right there.
I know why. It's because it doesn't work.
Yes, yes. I've been DMing. I've been figuring things out.
There we go. Okay, we are going to put Orash on Beaky,
I love that these are to scale.
lighter brown. Yeah, I'm doing this
It's
high like
because
this
we're
for
so
just a
high up.
moment.
It's
Exactly.
because we're so
It's
high
like
up.
right next to the camera. Exactly. Oh man. All right. Let me move this. Move this to the front.
Classic. I like that one.
All right. So, there we go. Completely to scale. No, we're gonna drop this down just a little bit. Oh, chat can't see any of this. Let me move this over.
It's because we're so high up.
There we
I
go.
love it.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, we're gonna drop that quite a bit, like that. Okay, we don't want to drop it too far because even though that makes it like larger than the entire city of Tribor, we do want to be able to see it from a distance. So, I'm going to give you control over Beaky, the Griffin,
Excellent.
and so I'm going to put.
Oh, that's not Beaky. That's me.
Yeah, give me a second. I'll give you control. Beaky
Yeah, no worries.
nameplate, controlled by Urash. Okay, now you should be able to move both.
Yay, I can move
Can you?
both. Huzzah.
All right, so can you move it roughly, like, so say that the tower is, let's say the tower is where that blue dot is. Where are you sending,
Is that where the tower was?
I think so.
No, but it's now.
No, I think so,
Just
because
assume
you
the
took
tower
off
was
from right
closer
next to
the
Lyland.
shore.
No,
Yeah, no, I
you've
just
been
assumed the tower
traveling
was close to
northwest
shore.
since then. Remember, you're exploring
Yeah.
this area up here. I think it's
Yeah,
okay.
no, absolutely. So do you want me to map out where I'm going?
Yes, just give me, like, a quick freehand, like I'm headed this away, or whatever.
Okay.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to set up, I am going to set up
Is this freehand? This is freehand.
Claws. And very appropriately, here is Claws, Greta.
But I'm on Squeaker.
Oh, I'm sorry. Then Claws goes to
I'm-
River.
Pretty sure this is really important and I think we should...
No, it's extremely important. No
Oh.
doubt. Okay, River, I am giving you control of Claws. I know you can hear this on the speaker. So I'm going to move that over so that you can control Claws. And when you get a moment, you'll be able to direct yourself and Claws. Wait till I put you on top. There you go. Yeah, go ahead and put Claws where you want. I have to drop the size a little bit because Claws isn't that big. There we go. And we're going to move you to the front. And there you are. You're now on back of Claws. So you can now control both of them. And so this right here is your starting spot, River. So, like, right now, Mike is... Can you actually move yours off of the blue dot a little bit? just so I
Yeah,
can
sorry.
See?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay, so this is the tower. So basically, if you could just do me a favor and, like, the freehand again when you get a chance, or just send me, like, tell me where you're going. I think you said south, so if you're going, like say, this way, is that right?
Delete the spot.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, and then Beaky will. All right, Mike's still handling that now. Meanwhile, on Squawker, this is Squawker. Right. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to give this Okay, there's Squawker. Give you a nameplate. Controlled by Greta. I'm going to drop the size to something rational. And, okay. There you go. Now, the only thing I don't know is where is your token?
I hid it.
Oh, you hid it. I see.
No, I'm so bored. I hid it here.
Do you actually know where it is or not?
Yes, I don't know where it is because I hid it. I know. This is.
Gotcha. All right,
Just
well,
moved it out of the way.
no big deal. Bang! There you are.
Oh, you're giving me a new token. Now I've got 2. Okay. There we go.
Oh, nice.
Right there.
That's a nice token.
Yeah.
There we go.
I like the round.
Okay. So, and then the
Wrong with
same
the
thing
pretty-
for you, Pyron. Do me a favor and show me where Greta's going. I think you said, like, straight north, maybe?
Yep, I'm going
Right.
straight north.
By the way,
mean,
can you
if I
imagine,
see-
like, for the first time, everyone logs on and this is what they see on stream, and they're just kind of like, what the hell is this? Like, it's just a bunch of red X's and purple circles.
Yeah.
It's like a kindergarten
This
class
is a
gone amok.
well-used
Like,
map.
And but, I mean, of course, I will stray from course if I see like dark clouds in the distance or something. Then I will go like, is this
towards
a-
them, right? Okay.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
yeah. But same here. So what I'll probably do is, because I don't know what this island is, like this one here.
Mm-hmm.
I will now delete that.
That's a
Uh,
maelstrom.
Is it? Is that the
I-
maelstrom?
Well, if it's not, I've been misled the whole time because I thought this is a maelstrom and we were
think
below the
we were-
maelstrom.
No, that's
No,
not
Maelstrom's way south.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
And it's also
Oh, I'm
under the
sad
water. It's
because I
not
always
visible
thought-
on the map. It's
I
not
think
visible
that's
on the
called
map.
ornamentation.
for the
Yeah,
whole
so
thing, for the whole time I thought this is where we were. Like the whole time,
like,
seriously,
what?
weeks now.
Really?
Thank you to Louis. Also, hi, Dizzy.
So yeah, so what I'll probably do is I'll probably go like this way, but then kind of see the island if I can, and then kind of go around past it. But
Okay.
then I wanted to know like how far is far enough? Does that make sense? So like, is that going to be like, and now I'll have to go back?
It depends. You know, Griffins can move at a pretty good pace, so probably you could probably cover that distance. I would say that would probably take you about an hour to get to, let's say, here-ish. Remember, though, if you go an hour out, you got to go an hour back. So if you want to make sure that
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
run out of energy, and he said that they could move 3 hours, then basically...
Yeah, so 3 hours there, 3 hours back.
So that, yeah, that's no, other way around.
Oh, is that an hour and a half?
hour and a
there,
half there, hour and a half back,
Okay.
yeah.
So if I kind of go like that,
That's probably about an hour and a half. Yes, yep.
yeah. Because then what I'm thinking is if I find nothing, then I can just kind of go like that and then continue. Because if I can't get any further than that, then we'll just need to move the tower, right? So that's
Right, which I assumed was
In
going to
theory,
continue to happen. I assumed the tower was still moving, although you can tell me if that's not true.
probably not until the Claudia training has happened.
Got it.
Because what we don't want is we don't want Celsius to be in trouble or come up for kind of catchment and or extraction, and there not be a tower there.
Gotcha. Okay, makes sense.
The thought had crossed my mind as well. I just
Yeah.
assumed
Well, so I just thought-
Sephiroth would be able to notice me.
Yeah, so I was thinking like just, and this is just me kind of speaking for other people, so I apologize for that, but I thought the tower would stay where it was for now, and essentially, you know, Greta would, River would kind of do that, and Greta would kind of do that, and we'd all do kind of circles, but then we'd do that, kind of, the tower would move once Celsig was finished his stuff, and we'd do kind of the same thing when we could. So then we're searching kind of this kind of area of the map, if that makes sense. And then we just move the tower, and then do the same thing and come back, and then rest, and then move the tower, and then do the same thing and come back. And it's going to be grindy, but I think it's going to be one of the best ways to do it. I think, anyway. I'm now just going to remove my doodles.
Okay.
So, assuming that that's what you're doing, then remembering that they will need to rest in between, then what I will do is I'm going to basically cut between all four of you, the 3 Griffin flyers, and then the sub-tester of Celsig. And I'm going to basically do that in a cycle, and we'll see what we find as we go through. So I will begin with... Actually, I'll begin with whoever wants to go first. Who wants to be the first one to do their search cycle and see what they discover?
I'll do it because the baby's quiet.
Okay. Quick, while the baby's quiet. All right. So what I'm going to ask you to do is you're going to be going south. And what I will ask you to do is I'm going to ask you to make, about an hour into your journey is when we'll have you make the first of these checks. So I'm going to have you make a perception check for me. Because you're on the back of the griffin, you're going to do this at advantage, okay, to see if you can find where to go next. But this is a difficult check, so you know.
Nope. I got an 8 and a 10.
Must continue south. Okay.
Yes.
So you will do that. So you continue to go south. You notice that Claus is very much kind of like a very active griffin in that. What's up, Aaron? In that, you know, he's kind of like constantly looking around and down and up. But, you know, keeps you on his back nice and stably. He doesn't seem to flip over. In fact, it's actually rather calm weather-wise as you head out. You pass Leyland and over to your left as you're traveling to the east over here. You can see there's this very large swamp, and you can't help wondering, like, what strange things happened with lizard creatures and things like that that occupy the time of the Mayor of Dead Men. And you continue to go that way. When you get to the point where you need to basically turn around and go back, so basically I told you you'd have to make you can make a perception check every hour. So about an hour and a half in is when Claus clearly is starting to get a little bit, you know, tired, or at least you could imagine where it would be, and you need to turn him around and go back. So assuming you do that, and it's assuming whether you want to do that or if you want to go in a different direction, but assuming you do that, then the question, then if you do that, then probably about here on your return journey is where I'll ask you to do another perception check. So you tell me first, though, if that's what you're doing. I don't want to assume that's what you're doing.
Yeah, I don't want to wear out my griffin, because that's how you die in the ocean.
Yeah, that's how you die terribly. Okay. So you turn around, just bank with the griffin and head back the other way. And when we get back to about here-ish, I would say, on the way back up, you can make another perception check as you're, more or less, as you're going past the same spot of the Mayor of Dead Men.
I did much better this time because I've been there before.
That's right. You've seen this area. Exactly. So what you can tell is that the weather, as you were going south, and this is just, you know, this is called the Sea of Swords. It's definitely stormy in general. But you felt like the stormy weather seemed to be much more present to the north than to the south. Like as you were going to the south, it seemed obvious to you that the water, if anything, was getting calmer than the other way around. No, if you go way south, like past Mintarn and all the way down to Callum's Port, like way south. If you get all the way down there, it gets stormy again, but that's way beyond the area that you were told you were going to go. So you didn't find anything, but you have a pretty good guess that it's probably not south of your position, you would think. Okay. All right, so you're heading back towards the tower. Second person up then, do we want it to be Urash or Greta?
Go next.
Okay. So same thing for you, Urash. I will have you about an hour in, so we're looking about here-ish, roughly.
Yeah.
Then I will have you make that perception check as you head west.
Yeah.
It's a very complex game of Battleship, yes.
Yeah. Bear with me just a second. Is this at advantage?
This is at advantage because you're on the, yes.
And this is perception. Yes?
Perception.
I've not done this for a while.
Yep, that's fine.
One. Not going to take that one.
Oh!
I'll take that one.
Wow, the yin
Crit.
and the yang.
A
The
crit fail and a crit. That's been my month, people.
Yep. But see, if you hadn't been on the Griffin, this would not have worked out. So,
Very true.
at first, as the weather continues to be sort of almost dark and stormy as you travel over, you despair of seeing anything. But then you see to the north, somewhere up in this area, you see what looks like, at first it almost looks like smoke. But then you realize that smoke, maybe if it was coming from over land, but smoke that you can see from this distance, like towering into the sky, seems very unlikely to be coming from a ship. It would have already sunk and not be given off the same thing. So if you had to guess, there is something off to the north here. Now, you have a little bit of a decision to make. Thank you, Vera Invictus. Thank you for the tier 1 sub. Subscribe for 14 months. Thank you, thank you. Welcome back to the DRM free community. So as you head up this way, yeah, basically there. As you head up that way, so you're about, as I said, an hour into this journey. The question is if you want to push it, because it's about 3 hours, right? So if you went up here, then you could pick up maybe another, I don't know, like maybe another hour. You would definitely get to whatever it is before Squawker runs out of energy, or before Beaky runs out of energy. The question is the return journey.
Yeah, could I go this way to where I could identify what this unknown was and then have enough energy to get back?
Maybe, yes. You would have just enough energy to get back at that point, yes.
Then I'd like to do that instead of doing this, the round trip.
Yep, so you're going to bank the other way. That makes sense.
Yes.
Okay.
I'll just tidy up my lines.
So you can do that, and I will give you another perception check right about here-ish when you get to the top of that. When you get to the top of that little flight path, if you will.
Absolutely.
And again, at advantage.
Excellent stuff. So it's now looking a bit more like that. So now I'm about here for the purposes of the audience. I'm at the peak of this.
Yes.
So I hopefully, if I nail this perception check, which I'm hoping I will now, I've talked it up a little bit, be able to figure out what exactly that is. Again, at advantage, correct?
Yes, that is advantage again.
I don't know what that one was. It didn't look like a big number. I don't know what that one was because it's behind the screen.
Hey, again.
23.
23. Yes, you see almost certainly what looks like a, the smoke is not smoke. It's very clearly clouds and a swirling kind of almost like tempest or storm. Now, it's still not 100% clear that it's unnatural. You know, it could be naturally occurring, but it's pretty narrow for a naturally occurring storm on the sea. It's like very focused on what feels like a pretty small point. So it's a pretty good lead, if you had to guess, Urash. Now you could fly further into it.
Nope. What I will ask is, how will I identify this? So I've just passed over an island. Do I know what that island is called? Or is it just a spit land?
You don't know what that island is called necessarily, but it definitely is kind of a landmark. You can say that this thing that you're seeing does seem to be moving north, relatively speaking, in a straight line, more or less, straight north.
Where's the tide going?
The tide at this point probably is going west-east.
Okay, so...
And this is going north.
So
against tide, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not directly against it, but not
No, not with the tide,
right.
Okay.
Hillness, do it! Fly into the storm! Best movies are made this way.
I'm not... If it were just me, or this was some sort of mechanical thing, yes, 100%, but I'm definitely not putting Beaky in any peril through exhaustion or other means. Okay, I turn around and head back.
Okay. Greta, same thing for you. Have you never seen Hurricane Ice? Greta, could I get from you, probably when you get to about, that's pretty close actually, maybe to about here-ish, just south of your current position, Greta, is where I'm going to ask you to make your perception check.
Okay.
And this is at advantage again. You notice, by the way, that Squawker that you're on, you see why the name is there, because Squawker talks a lot, or at least calls out a lot. Very stable, but does a lot of caw, caw. So despite the calm look,
I'm totally distracted by that. And
I was going to say, yep.
I was like, yeah. Okay, yeah, sure. I mean, if you say so, you must know.
This was cute an hour ago.
Yeah. So you do not note anything of unusual quality, except that going north does seem to have more storms than where you came from in general, but there's nothing specific. So now what you need to do is, did I really give you 2 tokens literally?
Yes, you did. I was...
Here, let me move this back on here so we can see your other token more clearly, because that one's covering it up. This way I see you on back of the creature. And I think you have control of this, don't you? Or do you not? Oh, you
the little
don't?
token. Let's see. No, of the little token, I don't have control of that.
You have control of it now. There you go.
So it looked like I fell off, but I did not.
Okay. Yeah, no, you didn't. There you go.
Just
now
be
you have
very
control.
angry at the water, you'll be fine.
It's very nice in the eye compared to anywhere else involved in the storm. Right, Ahmed? This is what I'm saying. Okay.
Yeah, but then there are also things like Sharknado, so let's not take any
That's
risks.
right. So same thing that I talked about with River, Greta. You get to the point where if you go further north, you're going to be putting yourself in a little bit of a rough patch trying to get back because of the energy level. So I'm guessing, but you tell me, do you want to at that point turn around, and then I'll give you another perception check on the way south, basically.
Yeah, I don't feel like killing a griffin today, so let's
Okay.
turn around.
So go ahead and turn around, and on your way back, it's right about here where you get to make another perception check again at advantage.
Look at me moving that griffin. Yeah, okay. Here we go. It's the griffin talking all the time. I just can't.
Quack, quack,
Yeah, no.
quack, quack.
Man, that squawk was just so
They've got a
distracting.
+3 on this, people.
Caw-caw. Starts doing caw, 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 like doing different musical calls, and you know.
So when I land again, you just see me like getting off the griffin, and I was like, I know, you've been saying it all the time. Just, I know.
Caw,
And
because
walking
I'm
away from the griffin.
just a lot, you know, very friendly, and you know, once you get back onto the area, when you land off it, immediately falls silent and just looks like typical noble regal again. Apparently, it only does this squawking when it's flying.
Ah!
Okay, so meanwhile, River's doing the same thing, and we will come back to Urash in a little bit. But first, we have to jump down to, meanwhile, on the surface of the water, we're dealing with Selsig and Claudia.
Drowning halfling. I mean, Selsig.
Exactly.
Meanwhile, we cut to.
I'm upside down. This isn't right.
Have I figured it out yet? Okay. Let me. Okay. Let me see if I can track down. Meanwhile, at possibly drowning halfling, exactly. Okay, does that work? Yes. All right. So we go like this. We view that. We save that. Can't do that. We snipping tool it. Over here. Thank God for multiple monitors. We go like this, which is like that. Great.
I just upgraded to an ultra wide monitor and I'm never going back.
Oh yeah, I
man.
heard about that. I think I have 3 monitors and I feel very blessed. I'm like, this is great.
That's a good amount. I've got to admit, if you get them in the right configuration and they're all the same, that's really good. But yeah, ultra wide, like just for productivity, like I'm overcompensating massively, but I'm definitely happy with my ultra wide.
Okay. Let's see. Whoa, that's apologies. That's not to scale. It is so large.
Claudia!
From the deeps.
Claudia has arrived. Yeah.
Suddenly, a mechanical crab comes crawling over the mountains.
It's
Just
not
snaps
for
the-
massive damage.
Just
Historically
snaps the squid boat in half.
Just snaps the sword coast in half, and the spine of the world just breaks and goes claw.
The 3 monitors,
Like-
why not 4? Don't tempt me, Dizzy. If I had room and money.
Rogue Galaxy, where one of your characters has a team-up attack that literally blows up the planet you're on, and you use that like every battle.
Yeah.
Nice.
You literally see the planet explode, and then you just back
Well,
again.
it's like in Final Fantasy Tactics, right? They have these attacks where like Bahamut attacks, and like the whole thing just looks like an inferno, but somehow the doors of the castle are not exploded. Like, how does this work? Like, there is nothing left of the building after that attack. Like, there's no, the ring of power. Okay, so I'm going to give you control over this, just like everyone else gets control over their Griffin, Selsig. So you're going to get that, and this is Claudia nameplate. Okay. All right, so you now have control over it, and I'm going to put you is up. Okay, so you now have control over yourself and Claudia. So the tower drops down, and Zephyros, as you're going down, says, all right, now tell me exactly the way you want it done. I release the rope at the right moment, thus slingshotting you across the water? Do I attempt to dive you in at a steep angle, thus having you cut directly in? Or do we just impact the surface directly? Loudly.
I mean, I think they all have their own merits.
I agree.
I was thinking, though, what did that thing you used to get me up here the first time, that pulley thing?
Yes. I could certainly swing you back and forth, and then fly you in one direction or another. Is that what you mean?
Let's keep that in reserve.
He nods. All right. He sounds vaguely disappointed. Oh, all right.
I just need to be placed upon the surface of the water.
Oh, all right then. It should be easy enough. And, he operates the levers and gets close enough. And then the tower, which you only realize it's one of those things where, like, when you're up in something like an airplane, when you're up in something going at a certain speed, you don't realize until you're on the ground how freaking fast you're going. Like, 500 miles an hour is not, like, that's really fast, right? And so he's going at a very good clip. And so you realize that when you get close and the water is, like, rushing by. He gets so close at one point that the waves are literally lapping at the bottom of the... You're like, but then he slows down, and eventually this tower is just hovering over the water. And from high above, you hear him yell, "All right, hold on to your hats. This may take a..." And then the ship falls before he finishes. So you're just like, "Doosh," like this. "Sorry," he yells up there. But you're now on the surface of the water. The seas are choppy here, but not, overwhelming. So you're like rocking back and forth on Claudia.
Roll for Constitution. I'm going to roll to see if I can not be seasick.
That's a good idea.
Constitution. Not great, but...
you felt better, but, there's that time you lost your finger,
Yes, that definitely felt worse.
So now you're in the water, so what do you want to do?
I am. So, let's... we know the controls, so I'll seal up the hatch.
Okay.
Big gaping hole.
Okay.
Because, I've thrown a bottle in a lake, and I've seen what happens when water gets in a bottle, so I can build off that knowledge.
True. It's very true.
Yeah. So I make sure the front window's open. I also want to test something with the side shutters, so I want those open as well this time.
And they are, you can see out through them that there's like the waves occasionally like cross over the window and down again.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Because the front window had like that magic glass.
Right.
Do the side windows have that?
They don't seem to. There are there's definitely water splashing in. Now it's not. It seems like they're not large windows, and you're not like getting swamped. As I said, the sea is choppy, but technically they're supposed to be sitting above the level of the waves. At least here, you think so, and so you have a feeling like if the water got a little choppier, it would probably be coming in faster. Like there's nothing really blocking the side from what you can tell.
Right. So I just touch it with my finger because I remember there was that sensation when I tried to touch.
Yeah, you don't get that same feeling.
Viewport. Okay.
On the sidewalk.
I closed the shutters again.
Okay.
Well, I think to myself that was important to find out. That could have gone nasty. At that time, I was in that barrel that fell in that lake.
Yes, that would be less than pleasant. This is like that scene in The Abyss where they first drop the submarine into the water before they head down. Like, everyone, hold on.
So I'm gonna pull the lever that we figured out makes it go down in the water.
Okay. Yep.
The sink, rather.
And it begins to sink below the waves. Now, as we talked about before, the Claudia is almost a different machine when it's under the water in terms of its general movement. On land, it's a little ungainly. It can move, but it's definitely not, the most graceful thing ever. This thing actually, once you're underwater, moves at a fairly surprising pace. And you begin to move the ship, and it begins to move with the legs sort of pushing it as it goes along.
Mm-hmm. So, do you want to get a feel like turning it to the left and the right?
Yep, you do that, and it's able to
almost
bank in the water slightly left as you turn around. You can hear there's kind of a flowing sound, and you can hear the sound of the water just right outside the windows. Every so often there's like a sound, like maybe pressure on the outside of the hull. But everything seems fine, nice and cozy in here.
Okay. What's visibility like?
So when you turn on the little lights up front and turn them on, you can see below. It cuts pretty nicely into the water here, although the deeper that you go, the darker the water gets and the less that the light will extend. But you can see a good probably 100 feet in each direction right now. As you go lower, that seems like it'll cut back a little bit. There are lots of also, I should say, fish, although many of the fish, when you get anywhere close, like dart away and stuff like that. But there are fish, and there are some bigger, some smaller that you see.
Any sign of tentacles?
No sign of tentacles as of yet.
Yes, as of yet being the operative phrase. I would like to dive down into where visibility gets to maybe about 50 feet, just
Okay.
for an experiment.
So you do that. So you dive lower, and as you dive, you hear a couple of. If anyone's ever watched a sub, I hate to make all the reference to that game, but if anyone's ever watched a sub movie and you know what it sounds like, which to me is a big part of why, no thank you, not going on a submarine underwater 700 feet while I hear that going on. But anyway, you hear that. Again, everything seems to be fine, but you definitely hear more creaking as you go lower.
Yeah. Well, so I'll bring the sub to a stop for this.
Okay.
Just because I'll need to focus. I dig in my pack and pull out my eye lantern.
Okay.
I want to shine it through the front portal.
Okay. When you shine the lantern through the front portal, you have a very strange experience of seeing, first of all, basically 3 lights, right? The 2 lights that are your main sublights, and then this one that sort of extends out. You don't see anything in particular unusual there, although you do see at the very end of the lantern's vision. So the lantern can see a little further than your eyes can on the sub, although not too much. But you see what looks like something kind of ghostly and sort of indistinct at the very edge of the lantern's vision. But again, that's because it's going that may be because it's going further than the eyes, not that it sees something the eyes don't. But there's something right in front of the sub that is sort of ghostly and indistinct, and it looks almost like white and black stones kind of on top of each other, like floating white and black stones is what it looks like right at the end of the lantern's vision.
I have several alarm bells going off now. I'll move forward to investigate.
Okay. So you go forward, and as you get closer, the eyes pick up. The lantern picks up the eyes, and they look at first like white and black stones, but as they get closer, you see that they're actually pupils inside large white eyes. And then you note that just before the side eyes pick up a very, very large octopus, which is currently staring in your direction.
Nope.
Now you do see tentacles. Now, when I say very large, I don't mean gargantuan, like it's not a kraken, or we wouldn't be having this conversation. But it's an octopus, right? And it's like this, and it just seems to be staring at you, maybe trying to figure out what the hell this thing is that's looking at it.
What it is reversing as fast as it can right now.
Okay, so you reverse it. As you do that, this thing begins to come towards you.
Okay.
I need you to make a dexterity check for me, please.
Okay. That's a save. Hang on.
No, not save, check.
Yeah. I
Yep.
nearly clicked the wrong thing.
Okay,
well.
got it.
21.
Okay, so yeah, you're like levers quickly, and you're like, backing up. As you're backing up the other way, you can also hear the like cracking again as the pressure changes, and but the tentacles of the thing, and the thing keeps swimming towards you as you're like going up. And when you make sounds, you sort of see it, coming towards you a little more. You get higher and higher. Now, you going all the way to the surface, I assume?
Yeah, I'm also extending the claws as well as a precaution.
Okay. So you get close to the surface, and this thing reaches out a tentacle in your direction. Like it wants to wrap around something of you.
Okay. I'm going to use what I labelled on my instructions as claws go snip.
Okay. So go ahead and activate that so you can.
Okay,
if
so
you want
that's
to.
yeah. So it's going to be a +8 to hit. Oh, hang on, I'm the advanced one for this. D20 +8. So that's a 16.
Yes. So as it gets close, the claw goes, and there's a snip, and you see this cloud of black in the water, and you hear like that sort of rocks, and like the sound is so that it like literally rocks the ship, and you can see the eyes kind of go dark, and then a moment later, you are covered in darkness. Can't see anything for a moment.
Did it eat me?
And then you
I'm getting a bit
see
frantic now.
light begins to filter in, and you see, because you were pretty close to the surface, and as the Claudia comes to the surface, you see that it was a huge cloud of ink of some kind. Perhaps it was not actually an octopus, but a squid of some kind, or some combination creature that shot out something, but you do not see the creature. Apparently, you scared it away.
Yes, I scared it away.
But now there is a creature that will remember that you took it. No, just kidding. Anyway. Yes, does Celsic have an inkling what happened? I see what you did there.
Oh.
And, I see what you did there. You are now floating on the surface, and you hear the booming voice of Zephyros. Ah, welcome back. Everything go according to plan, I see.
It's a giant tentacle happening to be floating next to me.
Make a perception check.
Okay. It's not that I want it for an elaborate prank or anything.
No, I mean, why would you?
Nope.
It's like
somehow
wrapped
got
around
it
the
on my face.
It's wrapped around the sub 3 times, but just like, wait, don't you have halfling luck where you don't have to take
Oh,
ones?
yes.
Or is that...
I can actually. It's been so long since I've had to use it. I forgot I had it. No, 17.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of pleased because I was hoping you. So you look around, and as you're doing that, you hear, "Oh, I see you've brought back a sample of something to the surface." That's well, I see you just. Is that a tentacle? And you see it's like literally like around. Yeah, as you open the hatch, it's like around, like not suspending it, but like in the water, like a circle around you. This severed tentacle.
I think I found the Kraken!
No, my boy. The Kraken's tentacles are 5 times that size, but that's a large tentacle. Well done. I didn't expect you to get into a battle with an octopus or a squid.
It looked like a pebble!
There's a long pause, and well, never mind. And he throws down ropes, and the ropes come down if you wish to reattach them.
I
kinda climb
do,
back up.
and I will attach one to the. Try and attach the tentacle as well.
Okay, so this wriggling tentacle comes up like on the other rope, which allows us to cut back to the Airy, if you will, where all of you are now back inside the tower, having reconnoitered / tested things, and you can sort of touch base on where things are if you wish before heading out again to wherever you're going to head out.
Well, it's definitely not south.
I may have found something.
Was it not south? Because then I'm right.
It was not south. That's
Yes.
very true. It was definitely not south. It was more west / northwest. Did you see anything, Greta?
No, nothing, but I have to admit that my griffin was talking all the time, and it was really, really distracting, but I didn't see anything. Like, all the time, like, squawk, 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 and it's just, you can't imagine it. It's like a huge chicken, and it was really loud.
Yes, Squawker is a little enthusiastic when he's flying, you might say. But I'll say this, he's one of the bravest you'll ever fly on.
That might be, but we didn't find anything, so no.
Okay, so I definitely found something. If I went to the west, I saw like a weird swirl of smoke up to the north over. Has anyone got a map? There's like a big.
Yep,
bit
we have a map.
Yeah, I just get a map out. And I just point to the big bit of land. I'm like, it was kind of just north of that. And it didn't really look like a lot when I saw it, but it would just kind of look like smoke and clouds. I'm like, that's a bit weird. Went towards it. Turns out it looked like a very narrow column of cloud. What was weird was it was going north, but the tide was going east to west. So it wasn't going against the tide, but it certainly wasn't going with it. So it's probably something we either want to, if we're all here, we probably maybe want to move the tower there to have a quick look, or go back out once people are rested.
And Zephyros says, as far as that's concerned, we can move the tower towards it while you're resting. If what you say is true, we might be able to discover it when we get a bit closer.
I think it's a really good idea. And also, I mean, if we move in that direction, and I kind of draw like a rudimentary kind of mark on the map, and just like in kind of this way, indicating, following the path of the column of smoke, then maybe they won't see us, but also maybe we can get a good rest, and then maybe we either go out and investigate, or what I don't want to do is I don't want to accidentally have us go into this storm and kind of alert everyone to our presence.
And Zephyros nods and says, very well, we can do exactly that if you like. Go ahead and get a bit of rest then as we head out. We'll see what we can do to discover what's necessary. Meanwhile, of course, I need to feed the griffins too. And he sort of makes a couple of adjustments on the ship, which then, lifts up and begins to move in its direction. The griffins all, seem kind of like a little, wet and bedraggled and, look hungry. And so he begins to bring over. There are these buckets of... It's not clear what the meat is. It's some meat that's bloody and in pieces. And but they devour it very quickly. And Ariel, every so often, and a couple of the adults push him over until, push him out of the way, until finally Zephyros is like, well, he needs to eat too. Never mind that. And so he comes in, no problem, just pushes them aside, and basically gives Ariel his own, access to some food, and Ariel eats some as well. And as he's doing this, the tower continues to head forward. He says, meanwhile, while all of you were out traveling, Celsig did very well in defeating a deadly octopus.
I come in dragging the tentacle.
Dragging would be a good word for it, type of thing.
I mean, how long is this tentacle, roughly?
8 feet.
So 6. Is that 4 Celsius?
That's
3 Celsius? 3 Celsius.
2.6 Celsius.
2.6 Celsius, yeah.
I'm where I was close.
Oh, what did you do?
I think I killed the
Dinner!
kraken.
Look, it's dinner!
It's purple and slimy. Just lies there.
I know two things about krakens. They're big and they've got tentacles. This was big and it had a tentacle. Therefore, I think I've scared the kraken off.
I'm pretty sure we've just won.
Okay. Well,
Zephyros just kind of...
yay!
Excellent.
The
Go
kraken
team.
is
High fives.
no longer here. I'm a bit worried that it was here, though.
It's much bigger than that. A kraken is... That wasn't a kraken. I don't know what it was.
They get
Just
bigger.
Kick the tentacle with my foot, and I'm assuming this is a pretty hefty tentacle.
Yes.
It's like
Makes it
this.
squish when you
It's
hit
like, how much bigger can these things get? This is pretty big.
it. He says, well, I suppose that it would probably be the size of one of its tendrils off of one of its tentacles. The krakens are very, very large. Very large. Quite large. Much larger.
I don't feel good about our plan anymore.
But look, you were able to defeat one of them with just Claudia. Imagine what the 4 of you could do together. If there were 4 Claudias, well.
Yes, we must scour the land for 3 more.
And
That's
so
the
begins
DLC, the apparatus, the search for Quailish. Search for
Remnants of
apparatus.
the gnomes.
Yeah, and then we hire out as a fleet of tiny pirates in 4 Claudias.
Well, if Greta's on board,
Yeah, listen, we just go straight sandbox, like
That's
complete.
not Greta speaking, that's Pyron speaking. Greta wouldn't say that.
It could be a hentacle being isocade into your D&D session.
I don't know what to do with this, but you wouldn't have believed me if I didn't bring it.
Well, we would have. We just probably wouldn't have believed it was quite this big. I'll be honest with you.
It didn't. It looked bigger.
But River just brought up that it might
Hey,
be
right at me.
River just brought up that it might be spying for the Kraken, which would indicate that we're in the right area.
Possibly. Yeah,
I
entirely
am
possible.
literally and figuratively out of my depth.
Yes.
Because you're like high up again, right?
Hey.
That's the joke, isn't it?
Hey.
That's the joke.
Ew.
That's
High
the-
up,
that's the-
too
that's the
deep,
question.
and everything moves too much.
Before we get the bends from this puntacular conversation, so we do now have a thing to go to.
Yes.
So did we want to do something with this? And I motion to the tentacle. Like, I'm not a fan of seafood, but if it's meaty, I'll eat it. Like if we cook it, but I don't think we're going to.
Could we intimidate the Kraken with it?
Probably not. If it's
What?
as big as Zephyros says.
Isn't
That'd be like
the-
me flicking a fingernail at you.
I mean, okay, you got to bear in mind, Selsing knows bugger all about what a Kraken is or how they do things.
I mean, isn't it like if you would like present a slaughtered chicken to the griffin and like, now you're afraid, right?
It's like the horse's head in the bed in the Godfather movie. Like you put the tentacle in the ocean, and it's like ah, like that's the. Intimidate the Kraken with a tentacle. That was my nephew.
Yeah. If anything, we're just going to annoy it.
Maybe we can use it for a distraction. Like we fly over the ship, and then we just first drop the tentacle on them.
Yeah.
I mean, that isn't a bad idea. I'm
What
not.
do you
I mean,
mean?
seriously.
It caught my attention.
I mean, seriously, if you drop like this huge of a tentacle from a certain height, that might like completely distract them for a moment, and it might just give us the time we need to get down there.
I'm just okay, Celsic. Can I just grab that bit of the tentacle a second?
Go ahead. I don't
Cool.
really
I
know what I'm
just
doing
take,
with
like,
this.
Presumably, you've got like the thinner end, right? So I'm just like, I mean, I don't have a great grip on it, but I mean, given enough rage, I could probably use this as an improvised weapon. I mean, I've used worse.
We're gonna have another tentacle whip.
Which exactly was the worst thing you used, like compared to the slimy tentacle?
Oh, I don't know. I've used a lot. Probably apples.
How
I'm pretty
are
sure I threw
apples worse?
apples at someone.
How are apples worse? I mean,
'Cause this would at least club someone to death.
More like a whip, wouldn't it?
that makes it better, right? I mean, seriously, but whips are exotic weapons, so this is going to be hard.
One calamari whip, one axe.
Improvised exotic weapon, yeah.
Improvised exotic weapons
Yep.
at this stage of the game that can only end well.
Yeah.
I roll a 1 and I accidentally strangle the rush with
You slap your party in the face with the tentacle.
it. Yeah, the entire party is now unconscious. Congratulations. But you did use it correctly.
You did 90
Well-
points of non-lethal damage. Way to go.
Well, I need food after this long of a flight, but I'm not gonna eat this.
Yeah, no, I'm out of there. I'm just like,
I should
Sounds like-
cook it or something first. I don't know.
I'm reasonably certain Zephyros has better food than this.
If it doesn't come in batter, I don't really know what happens.
He says, if you have nothing else that you could do with it, I suppose we could also feed it to the griffins. Need to cut it up a bit, perhaps. I don't know how
As long
they'd
as it's not
feel
gonna-
about slimy fish tentacle things, but could try.
I mean,
I'd be
are these
happier
things
about it than I
poisonous?
was.
Are these things like poisonous?
It spat at me or something. I don't know. I thought it ate me. It went dark.
Yeah, it's not clear if it's poisonous or not. If it's a normal squid or octopus, even a good-sized one, no, it wouldn't be poisonous. But you don't know if it's that or if it's something magical. Also, hi Trendane, I'm glad your power is back, which is how I know you can host us. Welcome in, man.
Hey, nice. Hey, Trending.
So it's up to you.
So, I drop the tentacle on the floor. I'm like, I'm out.
I go find something to eat.
Yeah.
Okay.
I go with Greta.
You can't just leave it. It nearly ate me.
Then you take care of it.
You brought it home,
bought
you
it.
take care of it.
You brought it in, mate. It's your problem now.
Oh, wait till you're asleep.
I promise I'll walk it every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
said you
so
were gonna walk
Celsic
it,
goes off
feed it.
dragging the tentacle in his perfect sight gag.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very on brand.
Yeah, exactly. So you all sort of sail in that direction with the tower as things are going on. Also, hi, Coven. And you all are there as you're sort of resting. With about after probably about, I guess we would say maybe 2 hours or so. So getting to the point where the griffins might be in a position that they could maybe, they've rested and they might be able to go back out again. Hold on a second. I'm trying to move that. There we go. So let's say the tower is right here now. You hear Zephyros calls to you and, all right, I think we may have found something. Here, come up here, everyone. So for those of you wherever you are, can either, wait for a rope to be dropped, or if you happen to be up in the area attending to the griffins, you could do that if you wish. It's up to you.
I will need to wait for a rope because I'm very wary of climbing or descending any levels of this tower.
Okay. So you wait for the rope, and it brings you up. Assuming everyone else is more or less assembled there, you see Zephyros, who has a very satisfied expression on his face, and he says, "Well, I think we've found what you said you found, Urash." And he points out the window, and you can see this narrow column of, again, looks like smoke from this distance. Definitely not, because the tower now is pretty close to where you said this was. This smoke is further up to the north than it was, Urash, so it definitely has been moving. But you can see something, and he points at it and says, "Is that what you saw, Urash?"
I believe so, yes.
He says, "Well,
It definitely looks like it.
if that's it, then we're going to need to move into sync behind it, into sequence, and then follow up with it. If that's it, we need to decide how you want us to approach."
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I look at the rest of the party. I'm assuming everyone's up here now.
I think they are at this point, would be rested.
Yeah. So I look at everybody else. Does that sound like a good plan?
I would still say 2 from below, 2 from above, right?
Yeah, I think
I
that's
have
what
seen
that's
what's
what we're
below.
gonna go with.
It's a tentacle bird. What could possibly go wrong?
Yeah. I still think 2 from above, 2 from below is a good call.
Just,
And then
don't
I think
go
we
down
just-
as far as I did last time. We'll be all right.
I say we storm the boat. We try to liberate King Hekaton. Hope he's not too drugged up to to not help us, because we might need his help.
That's very true.
So
Don't
we
forget
just-
we've got the giant potions.
Yes.
Yeah. How did
So
we
maybe we
distribute?
wanna-
Did everybody have one, or did we have 2?
There's one each. I just noted that we had
Yeah.
4 between us.
Oh, okay.
I actually think you took them. I think it was like a bundle, and you took them for safekeeping.
Yeah. So let's distribute them, 1 for everybody.
Yeah.
Remember, if they see you use it, then it's not going to work.
No, it's not
I
about.
feel like I should have to explain that to some of you, given our track record. Well, your track record.
So let me get this straight. If I jump out of the tower a half orc, but I land on the boat a giant, that's okay.
They might question where you've come from.
Who sees a giant half orc barbarian swinging an axe around on a boat, falling from the heavens, and goes, "Wonder where he came from," and not, "Oh God, it's a giant half orc barbarian swinging an axe around on my boat"?
We don't know who else is on the boat, to be fair.
That's true. I'm hoping that might cause a bit more discord than us just.
They might
wanting-
just go, "How amusing,"
yeah,
and then
It's
feed you
unusual
to the
for-
Kraken.
It's unusual for a Wednesday. Kraken.
Ha! Our takeaway's arrived.
And as you draw a little bit closer, not much closer, but a little bit closer, you can see and hear that the storm that you are following seems very intense. Lots of flashes of light, the smoke, as you get closer, you can see are really a lot of dark clouds from very high in the heavens all the way down to the sea. And the sea is choppy and wild and dark below you. And Zephyros sort of looks back at you all and says, "All right then. 2 of you from above, 2 from below, you say. Well, we'll have to see how we handle this storm. Do we travel over it and go straight down into it? Do we try to break through its outer wall? We'll have to see." And he sort of looks down, and then he points, and he says, "Well, that should prove interesting." And you can just see in the water around the storm. So there's the storm, which is still some distance, but you can see around the storm there are what look like at first just these, like, you think they're more waves, but then as he points to you and you kind of, your eyes all focus, you can see that they look like fins. And as you're watching, he takes out a telescope, basically, and he kind of looks carefully and he says, "As I thought." And he hands the telescope over to, let us say, River. And he says, "There, my dear. Look down at that spot, would you?"
He said, what now?
Yeah, sorry. He said, "Look down at that spot," with the telescope. So basically pointing
Okay,
out
I
to
look
one.
at the spots.
In the water, you can see what looks again like just waves and then what look like fins. And then you see clearly piercing the ocean the top of a trident. And he says, "That's what I thought. Meros. There are guards around that storm. I think you found your ship, my friends. And you found the army guarding it." And that is where we're going to bring our session to a close for today. Meros! Yes. Around the storm. There are gods around that storm. No. Meros. Different. Meros is Merrows. It's a kind of, to really oversimplify, very evil merman. But it's really oversimplifying it. They're large creatures that have been twisted by dark forces, basically. So imagine mermaids and mermen, but nasty, basically. Yeah, I didn't say gods.
Cool,
I
I
said
just thought-
guards. Sorry,
I like-
guards, not gods.
I like
Thanks,
Guards.
Dren.
the fish version of Urukai, so you could say they're Urukarp.
Yeah, they're Urakarp.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I seriously
go.
understood that there are gods
Oh,
around.
sorry.
them.
No, I should have
was
said
like,
that. Gods.
I was like, this
No.
is kind of overkill
Yeah,
now.
no
Just
guards.
Like, that's. I mean, I know there are a lot of them, but seriously.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, you don't know how many there are right now, but there are definitely some guards around it. Good news, this has got to be the storm. Yeah. So, good work, people. You found the storm. You found the place. It was just a matter of finding everything else. But we do have to stop so that Pencil Siren can take over. And so I'm going to start with right on the bottom of the row. I know that it's not easy, Chai, when you're dealing also with Baby. I hope everything was okay nonetheless, and you had fun regardless of having to deal with Baby at the same time. How is everything, and where will the fine folks see you next? And you can tell me quick. I understand, Baby.
I'll try to go fast because she's still yelling. She's been yelling like this whole time. I love the session. I love what I could hear about it. I really enjoyed what I could play, which is always great. It's nice to have a break. And
Yeah.
where I will be next will be on my personal channel. I am streaming Death Stranding is what we just started. So I'm playing
Cool.
that over on my channel every day this week. So yeah, hang out there.
Awesome. Good stuff. Thank you, Chai. And we will see you also next Tuesday here for Talisman Adventures, where Chai is going to be actually making her character on stream. So it'll be good. Moving on up the line. Thank you, Chai. It was a pleasure. Moving on up the line. Mike, again, good,
Hello.
fun stuff today. It was enjoyable. I loved the image, the visual image of all three of you, like on griffins while Selsig, plied the briny deep. Was a lot of fun for me imagining that visual. How did you feel about today? Where will the lovely folks find you next?
Yeah, today was good. Today was a nice break from work and sleep, to be honest with you. I am really, really tired now, so I'm not quite sure how work is going to go tomorrow, but I really appreciate being able to do this, even though I'm in kind of recovery mode at the moment. So yeah, if you want to find out anything about myself, you can follow me on Twitter as Peripheral Mike. There is some stuff going on in the background, and if it's okay, I'd like to ask a quick question of chat. I'm trying to find some chilled out, almost lo-fi, chill out video games to play for reasons. And if anyone has any suggestions for games you can just chill out to, similar to Journey, Flow, and Flower on PlayStation, then hit me up either on Twitter or on here, because I'll stay on for the next like 5 or 10 minutes or so. I normally do anyway, just to chat and kind of watch our close out. But today was absolutely fantastic, and I really appreciate being here, and I love you all.
Thanks, Mike, and I'm glad to see that you're on the mend. Hear that you're on the mend. I know it's a longer haul, but hopefully, we'll get you clear of it. So thank you, my friend, and hang in there, and we will speak to you also next week when you will be making also a character on stream with all of us. So that's going to be good times. Thank you, Mike. Saber, again, good stuff. I was really enjoying the Celsig in the sub predicament of just being like, I had all this abyss stuff flying through my head, and you're just like, we're like stones. Then you're like, back up. That was really cracking me up. And I know it wouldn't be a Darksaber encounter if there wasn't some tentacle. So I hope you appreciate that I stayed on brand for you, one way or the other. How'd you feel about today? Where would lovely folks find you next?
I knew something bad was going to happen, but halfling curiosity.
That's it. But also halfling luck. It giveth and it taketh away,
That is also true. And now I have a 8-foot tentacle I need to figure out what to do with.
As a trophy, yes.
It's a keepsake.
That's right.
I don't know where I'll keep it. It's bigger than any house I'll probably own.
Wear it as a belt, or really a robe when it goes around you multiple times. Anyway.
Maybe I can hollow it out and wear it as a costume.
That'd be a great idea. I'm tentacle guy.
But I'll be back tomorrow with the release stream for Everspace 2. Spoiler alert, it's really good. I've been playing it already. And I'll be back on my own channel this Thursday. I'm not entirely sure what I'm playing because I'm between games at the moment. So it's just playing what takes my fancy currently.
Good stuff. I look forward to seeing all that. And good stuff today. And again, thanks for, as always, Dashboard, Mubat, etc. Thank you, Saber. And last but certainly not least, Pyron, it was also fun to see Greta's connection for you. I was just cracking up thinking about the Greta versus Squawker. Like, I'm trying to focus. Can you just, I can't hear. I can't, I was enjoying that experience. And I am curious how you're going to handle things with the whole when two from above, death from above, and death from below. I'm curious to see how that's all going to work. How'd you feel about today? Sorry about the guards mix-up, by the way. How did you feel about today? Where will the folks see you next?
It was a nice moment of surprise. Like, the whole ship is guarded by gods. I'm like, oh, okay then.
Great, it's the god ship. Lovely.
So maybe there's another one of those. And also, is the tentacle purple? Because I really want to know this before Celsig runs around in it.
Purple tentacle.
Yeah, of course it's a purple. Yeah.
Yep.
So he's going to take over the world. Anyway, so people will see me next actually on Tuesday, where I'll be not making my character on stream because I'll be one of the two who prepare the character in advance, because we're not going to spend the whole evening creating characters. We also want to show you how the game is actually played.
Right.
It's going to be a really wonderful thing. Like I said, GOG is also supporting that. You haven't seen this Talisman RPG before, and you also have people here who can tell you about the Talisman board game as the digital version and all of this. So come on in, have a look. It's going to be wonderful.
Yeah, it's going to be great. Thank you, Pyron. And yes, 100% agree with that. These folks are going to be back with you next week. If you are like, we missed them, I missed them too. We're going to have them back next week for Talisman Adventures, and it's going to be great. And I can't wait. And oh man, well, I don't want to. No, I'm not going to spoil anything about it, except it's going to be awesome. So yes, Pyron and Saber and I, or Pyron and Saber, are going to work on characters off stream. They'll have them ready, but then next stream, Mike and Chai will actually make their characters on stream in parallel. They'll both choose cultures and classes and all that kind of stuff as we go through. So that is the plan. But I want to thank this amazing crew. As always, we will continue, of course, Storm King's Thunder next month. We're almost there, chat. We are zeroing in. Please, can we get some love for Pyron Jade, Darksaber 2K, Peripheral Mike, and Tasty Chai. They were amazing players, great stuff, and I will see you all either next week or slightly earlier. Bye for now, all. Okay. That is going to do it for us. And by the way, Tren, I forgot to mention that World of Goo has won the Patreon Field Chat Chosen Game of the Month. So that is going to be what I'm playing on Friday, is World of Goo. So it worked, finally. I have won, it is won, and I'm going to be playing World of Goo. So I hope you're excited. I can see that you are. I'm glad that your power is back also, by the way, man. But that's going to do it for me. I got to give way to Pantsless Aaron, who is going to be playing some Mafia 2. He's going to make an offer you cannot refuse. So thank you, as always, for being patient, Aaron. Thank you, as everybody, for being awesome peoples. My name is Arvin Elleron. This was episode 259 of Pen and Pixels. We will be back next week with episode 260 with the special Talisman Adventures premiere, again, sponsored by Pegasus Spiele and also being supported by GOG.com. So thank you again to GOG for doing that, and for Pyron Jade for helping set that up. And I am also going to be on my channel on Wednesday night with Community D&D, which is Dragon of Icespire Peak. So if you like this, I'll be back over there, specifically by I mean members of my community. Shadowed Mage is the GM, Echo Alpha X5, Trifity, Mats, Rock God, and Hoodie as your players. That's a lot of fun. Thursday, we have the Vocalists on my team, voice acting team. And then Friday, I'll be playing the aforementioned World of Goo on my channel. Or I'll see you next week here, Tuesday, 4 p.m. Eastern, for episode 260 of Pen and Pixels and Talisman Adventures. Please stick around now for Pantsless Aaron and Mafia 2. Thanks, everyone. Much love, and I will see you folks very soon. Thank you especially to the players who did a great job tonight. Bye, all, and see you all soon. Bye for now.